bricks stacked high. Lego Batman swoops lighting up the sky. Legacy of the Dark Knight, looking so fine. Got that reggae rhythm, games divine. Click clack, plastic capes in the breeze. Villains trembling, falling to their knees. From Arkham's ashes, a Lego star's born. This game's so hot, it's Rasta reborn. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Rank snapping, built from Lego blocks. Penguins waddling, but he's out of stock. Suicide Squad tried, but he crashed and burned. Should have been like this, man, lessons learned. GTA 6, Vice City's looking shook. Lego Batman's got them shook in their books. A toy game taking Arkham's holy grail. That's the capes winning, that's the funny tale. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Rastabat cave with a brick built vibe. Lego Dark Knight keeping hope alive. Yo, Rocksteady, what happened, man? Your squad game flop left us all withdrawn. Lego's got the mantle, carrying the flame. A brick built Batman running the game. GTA 6 calling, yo, we're scared. Lego Bruce Wayne got 'em unprepared. Jah bless the bricks, this game's the one. 2026, Batman's having too much fun. Oh, Lego Batman, legacy of the Dark Knight, shining so bright, it's still in the fight. Game of the year 2026, it's true. GTA 6 crying, what we gonna do? A Lego game picking up Arkham's crown. Suicide Squad, y'all let us down. Fade out with the bass in the Gotham light. Lego Batman, Irie taking flight.
Time to play the game.
I'm vibing.
I drove my rusty pickup to the local game store door.
That's most definitely what's
Starfield
up.
gleamed upon the shelf, couldn't wait no more.
16
Todd
times the
Howard
detail.
spun his stories of galaxies afar, but when I fired up that game, I didn't get too far. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me feeling like just another fool. They boasted endless planets, each one unique and new. But after planet number 3, I'd felt deja vu. The critics didn't love it, gave it mediocre scores. Just another space misfire, echoed across the board. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your little lies. I fell for all your stories, like I always do. Starfield left me wishing for a game that's true. epic battles, but the AI wouldn't fight. Characters were wooden and the dialogue was trite. Todd promised me the cosmos, but left me in the dust. Now I'm trading in this game, it's betrayed my trust. Oh, Todd, you weaved a fable of worlds beyond compare, but all I got were glitches and load screens everywhere. Still, somehow I'm considering when the next game's nigh, 'cause hope's a stubborn thing, and I'll give it one more try. Oh, Todd, you sold me stardust, but gave me empty skies. Promised me the universe with all your sweet little eyes. I fell for all your deceptions, like I always do. Todd left me sat here, wishing the things he said were true.
I do wish they could say things that were true. That Todd would speak honestly and truthfully. But alas, I don't think that will happen, for it has not happened in quite some time. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. Glad to have you here, rocking and rolling once more with games to talk about, things to discuss, misinformation to correct. All of it. It's going to be good. And I cannot wait. So we have a couple of things that I want to get to, like first, like top priority, I guess, and then some other smaller stuff. If we have time, we'll kind of work through it bit by bit, little by little. A few further leaks, some discourse around budgets of big games that are coming, all that good stuff. It should be fun. Correct information to misinform. Exactly. No, it's basically, we just are in an age where a lot of stuff gets thrown around. And the danger is somebody, what's the old saying? It's something like, a lie can travel around the world 2 times in the time it takes for one truthful statement to come out. Like, basically, we are so used to just a flood of information constantly with all sorts of stuff that people are able to throw out bull crap 24/7 all day, every day. And it's very difficult to correct it, because the moment it's corrected, people just move on to the next one. It's why I've kept like a bookmark of certain big claims and predictions and leaks certain people have made, so that in 6 months, a year, 2 years, we can eventually compare it and see if they were just pulling stuff totally out of their butt. One of the other things that happens is that alleged leakers will start to borrow information left and right from other people. And, it's like, oh, I'm a leaker. So I read an article that Tom Henderson wrote, who actually has sources. And I took pieces of that, put it into my leak, and then also some other stuff. And then I claimed that I can corroborate what he's saying when you're just copying it, Like, that's the danger, is that it's just really tough to figure out what's real and what's not, what's true, what's false. And ultimately, people will say something that's false, just making it up. And by the time they're proven false or proven wrong, everybody's forgotten that they ever said anything, That's the problem. So we'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Anyway, but we'll get through that. We'll talk about it, and I'll clarify what I'm referring to, and do all of that. Luke, how you doing? How's the puppy? The puppy's very good. Mr. Romeo is very good. We got him a new little jacket, a jacket cover thing for dogs, because his particular breed has no fat on the bone. He is muscle and skin and bone, so he gets cold really, really quickly. But he likes to go out in the mornings when it's 40 degrees outside. So we got him a little jacket to wear while he's out there. But because he's also, I love him, he's a little stupid. He peed on the grass and then rolled in the pee in the grass with his new jacket on. So his entire thing was just covered in stinky dog pee. And Yeah, it was frustrating, but he's gonna be okay. He's gonna be okay. We're gonna give him a bath after the stream. He's out there just hanging out right now. Yeah, he's a good fella. He just kind of stupid, you know. Who isn't nowadays, frankly? But yeah, he just a little stupid. And then he like looked at me like, "What did you do, Dad?" Like he looked at me like he got up, started walking around, and he still smelled the pee following him everywhere. Started like looking around as he's walking around. Like his little brain was trying so hard to figure out what was happening. So I got the jacket off of him. I'm washing it now. I just have to wait for Nikki to get home to help me with the bath because he's not great at receiving them right now. We are going to do a training thing though. It was recommended by the vet and by somebody else we met who has the same kind of dog. They were like, do a board and train with these guys. It's like a pretty intense 10-day thing where they board the dog, they watch the dog, and they train the dog all day, every day. So it's kind of like boot camp for dogs, but they come back and they can do everything from like sit and stay. They can hop up into the car for you and they'll sit in the seat in the car. Like, so they can stick their head out the window and everything, which right now he just can't. And for us, the big thing is that he's too jumpy. Like we can't really let him run around with the kids because he's so big and he doesn't know how big he is that he can just trample them without even meaning to. He's like, "Oh, hi, I love you." And he comes up, but with a little 2-year-old or a 4-year-old, he'll plow through them. So, we're hoping the training will really help him with that. And they said about 6 months is the perfect time to do it because their brains have developed enough where they can make connections. I did this, so therefore I get this treat, or I did this and therefore I didn't get the treat, so I shouldn't do that. Stuff like that. The problem with doing a board and train or training at all prior to 6 months is that their brain literally is not developed enough to even make connections. So like they literally have no idea like why you're reacting certain ways. Because they're a baby, basically, you know, they're just a baby. So it's gonna be interesting to see how he does with it. We have some family members that did it with a brown lab, an English lab that they had, who was a hunting dog, and she, I mean, did great. She really, really did great. She came home and was like, I mean, so obedient, so on top of it. Just very, I mean, night and day difference. And once they've settled down and they can listen to commands, then like, yeah, hop on the couch, cuddle me, let's snuggle. You know, you can do stuff like that with the dog, but not if they're going crazy. And right now, he's just a little crazy. But he's a good guy. So yeah, Romeo's doing good. Kids are good. And I'm hoping that the board and train stuff goes well for him. That is my hope. Who did, real quick, do you guys know who did the performance side-by-sides for Silent Hill F? I saw somebody was clipping it because they did the pixel counting. Maybe performance breakdown, something like that. Yeah, somebody broke it down and did like the pixel counting on everything, and it was like kind of insane. They were finding that like at certain points it was upscaling even on PS5 up from like 360p, which is insane. Does anybody know who did that analysis? I can't find it. I thought maybe it was it Digital Foundry? Did they do it? Okay. What kind of dog did I get? He is his breed is a blue tick coonhound, and he is just a Swedish little guy. He looks very similar to this, a little bit darker, not as many like white speckles on the back, but they have the big ears. They're very, very sweet, very cuddly guys, very good boys. Yeah, he kind of looks like this but less white. I wonder if there's not one that looks quite like him. He's very unique, but yeah, he's a good boy. Good boy. Hannah, thank you. Hey, Luke, saw the unboxing of Sir Radzig's sword this morning. It looks awesome. Can't wait to see it mounted on the wall. Awesome as always. Thank you, my friend. And yes, I'm excited for it as well. Shocker, it's kind of hard to get custom sword mounting equipment in 2025. Who would have thought? But yeah, we are getting that. I think I may try to 3D print something myself and use that. But basically, I want to have the two swords like here, making like an X crossed over each other. I think that would be really cool. It's like a perfect spot for them. It's perfect. It's perfect. So I want to do that. Okay, you guys are saying Digital Foundry did it. Okay, we can look at that. Because that does seem interesting. Because my God, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Is it? Maybe tell me if I'm wrong. Because maybe I'm just being a boomer. Real quick, thank you, Tasman, for the sub with Prime 2 hours ago before we even started. And Circuitron Music, thank you for the sub also over on Twitch. Is it unreasonable for me to want games to render above 360p? Is that unreasonable? Is that silly? No. Yeah, it is unreasonable. Yeah, that's IGN quality. What are you talking about? Here's the deal, okay? I can understand that they're like, hey, they've probably done blind like tests, visual tests, and I'm guessing a lot of people can't see a difference. But it's almost like as a matter of principle, it feels insane to me that we are rendering at resolutions that would have been considered poor in like 2006. And then we're using these upscalers to hit performance targets now and to hit resolution targets now. I understand ray tracing is difficult. I get it. I understand that it's a modern marvel of software engineering to even get ray tracing working at all. I appreciate that. But 360p, my friends. 360p, what are we doing? Goodness gracious. Like, goddamn. Goddamn. Let me see if I can find the initial side by side. Silent Hill F. Because basically reviews dropped today, and so a lot of people have posted those. Lots of stuff. I mean, clearly visual improvements have been made. It looks way better, certainly than the 2012 version. That's great. Or version. Last release, major release. Where's the performance stuff? Here it is. The metrics on the Silent Hill F performance video are completely wrong. This channel has bad track record with getting metrics right. Don't believe anything or everything you see. Just enjoy the game. Let's see. Digital Foundry said that Dying Light the Beast was running at 1080p. This channel said they were running at 576p. Interesting. So there's debate. Well, this is all good to know before we go into the full segment and talk about it. This is all important to know. Because this was their previous post about this channel, also mentioning this. Okay. Well, we'll talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Let's do the thing. Ready? Yeah, the 360 was dope though. Fair. Maybe they're like, no, the bad performance, low resolutions. We're actually doing that to call back and harken back to a time, a simpler time, when games were just about fun. Yeah, it's a callback. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's all part of it. It's all part of it. Whilst I love that we're trying to advance games more and make them look as great as possible, I'd much rather have good performance. I'm finding myself going back to older games as I'm starting to get a little bit disenfranchised. Well, it's the interesting thing, Circuitron, we talked about it on stream the other day. I think we're reaching a point where graphical fidelity, certainly in trailers and stuff, is becoming much less of a selling point compared to performance. And I think that's a great transition for us to go through as an industry, because graphical fidelity is great. Realistic reflections are great. insofar as you can enjoy them with reasonable performance. The problem is that now we're getting impressive visuals at the cost of like ridiculous artifacting with upscalers, or bad performance and frame drops, or stutter issues like with a Borderlands game. And I just think that that's an unreasonable trade-off. I mean, you're literally seeing with Borderlands 4, for example, when you submit a support ticket through their 2K support program and platform, they are literally telling you to go and turn on frame generation and set DLSS to performance mode. And that, to me, I just think is a ridiculous solution. But I think that that's just where we are. Like, a lot of these companies are viewing performance DLSS settings or FSR settings or ultra performance the same as like lowering your graphic settings down to low or medium. And so they view it as like a user error, that users want games to run closer to native, not even necessarily native, but closer to native. And it's just really, really frustrating. It's really frustrating. We're 5 years into this generation, and this generation was supposed to be the 4K generation. Remember, at the end of last generation, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, those were both consoles designed to output 4K signals. They weren't rendering natively at 4K. They were doing checkerboarded upscaling and stuff like that. But still, it's ridiculous to me that we are seeing steps backwards. Now, even if, and we'll see what Digital Foundry says, because I'm more inclined to believe them, but even if they're not dropping to 360p on performance mode, and they're going from 720p, or they're upscaling from 1080p, it's still 2025, my friends. Like, the Xbox One, which was considered a really weak console, was rendering at 900p for most games. And the fact that we are seeing now games render at 720p and then try to upscale, like, that just to me is silly. It's just silly. I have always thought that frame generation should be an extra feature. Well, I agree. And if you, excuse me, I made the mistake of running this morning. I had a Orange Theory class, and it kicked my ass. It sure did. It sure did. I'm a good runner. I'm good at sprints. That's my thing, is like, I'm not an endurance runner. I can't do a marathon or anything, goddamn, but I can do like pretty intense sprints and be okay. But every once in a while, they'll do a class where they kind of combine the two, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna sprint and then go back to your base, which is like, 5.5, 6 on a treadmill. And you're gonna hold that for 90 seconds, and then we're gonna go back into sprints, and then back to base, and then sprints, then back to base. And it's enough to just destroy you. I mean, it'll wreck you, dude. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 recommended specs. But it is good. It is really good because it makes you, it forces you to figure it out. You get better. You definitely make a lot of improvements when you force yourself to do it. You just gotta do it. But yeah, going back to what you said, you thought that frame generation should be added frames. I agree. And this is what was so refreshing about how Warhorse handled it with KCD2. This is going back to December 5th of 2024, okay? 2 months before launch. And as you see, Satobi says, and here we have the hardware specs. Initially, they posted these, and I tweeted them, and I was like, is this with upscalers enabled, or is this raw native performance? Because it wasn't clear in the initial post. And to Sir Toby's credit, again, he's great, always in tune with the community. He immediately replied, no, this is native. This is native. And then he posted this additional post saying, maybe an important note here, the PC specs are listed without any upscaling in mind. Upscaling will, of course, boost FPS if necessary, even on weaker hardware. So they balanced and they polished the game, assuming no upscalers were being used. When they say minimum low 1080p at 30, and these are what the specs you need to get it running there, you're actually going to get 1080p 30. Like, that's what they're saying. Not 1080p upscaled from 540p. No, you're going to render it at 1080p. And if you use upscalers on top of that, you might be able to hit 60 frames, Same with all of these. When they tell you if you want 4K at 30, you're going to need a 4080. If you have a 4090, you might be able to hit 60, 70 frames. But then you can also go and use upscalers and maybe hit 100, 110 frames. But those are all additional. That's why this was just so refreshing. It's why I think that Warhorse deserves a lot of credit, because it's not just, the game is fantastic, but it's also, I think, important for the industry to reward games that are polished and are well put together and that respect the user and are not going to force them to use ultra performance and frame generation, which adds all sorts of other things. I mean, it's like you said, with frame generation being specifically an extra thing. The problem with frame generation is that it's literally taking all of the previous frames and then it's doing complex algorithms to figure out what we could insert as an additional frame. And that works if you're starting with like 60, 70, 80 frames a second, because then when they splice one in, it's not going to be as jarring or noticeable. It just smooths everything out. Latency issues are not going to be as severe. But when you're dealing with like starting at 30 frames and then you're adding in fake frames between those, you have all sorts of issues, especially when it comes to latency. And it just doesn't work anywhere near as well. Ghosting issues, all sorts of stuff. Creatious, thank you for the 5. Bad graphics is nostalgia. You're right. See, you should be thanking them. The games run poorly. And then Kyle, thank you for the 5. EA of all companies saying they need to reach players where they're at and making Battlefield 6 perform on lower end devices gave me serious whiplash. It's why I've told you guys, Kyle, thank you for the 5 again. It's why I've told you guys, the industry shifts and evolves and moves and changes. 10 years ago, the industry looked a lot different. 10 years ago, let's go, September of 2015. The most hyped anticipated game was Fallout 4. It was about to come out about a month and a half later. Witcher 3 had come out in May, but not many people were aware of it yet. It really blew up after Fallout 4 going into the Game Awards when it won. From Software had just put out Bloodborne. And there were a handful of other projects like Mass Effect Andromeda was also hotly anticipated. That was still a little ways out. There were all sorts of big games and big players in the industry. And then other players who are big now were either non-existent or unheard of at that point. Like even KCD 1 hadn't come out at that point. So like Warhorse was not on anybody's radar. Of course, Ken Levine's studio that's doing Judas, nobody had heard anything from them in a while. BioWare was still like top dog in the RPG space. Arkham Knight, that's a great example. Rocksteady had just put out Arkham Knight in 2015. And fast forward 10 years, the market's changed a lot. Rocksteady, people aren't sure if they're going to get shut down or not. Same with BioWare. Nobody knows what's happening there. Monolith, who made one of the best games of 2014 with Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. They're gone now, completely gone. Larian has blown up into one of the most beloved studios in the world. And they were very, very niche working on Divinity Original Sin 2. Like that game did well and people knew about it, but it was nowhere near as big as Baldur's Gate got to, So my only point is 10 years ago, EA was also, especially, I would say it really peaked in 2017 after Battlefront 2's debacle with the pay to win stuff. But 2017, EA was bottom of the barrel. Everyone hated them. They were like not respected, whipping boy of the internet, right? Kind of honestly, kind of where Ubisoft has landed in the last year or two. But it shifted, and now EA has just published one of the Game of the Year nominees, most likely with Split Fiction. They won Game of the Year in 2020. Was it Takes-Two 21 or 22? I don't remember which year it was, but they won a Game of the Year award with that, with Hazelight, and so the industry can shift. It can move and evolve and change, and people call me crazy, but I'm like, in 5 years, it would not surprise me if there's an entirely new player that's at the top of the industry, if we have another developer crash and burn, and then other people that are currently hated will end up climbing the ranks a little bit higher. You could see Ubisoft get a renaissance. Like, never say it's impossible, because even now EA is kind of getting a renaissance in a weird way.
Through Super Chat. Should more gaming companies make single players in the range of 10 to 15 hours like Insomniac is doing, so they can get games out quicker without their budget being blown up and taking 6 to 10 years?
In short, yes. In girth, I would say it's not that easy. Because if people expect 30 hours or 40 hours from you, it's going to be disappointing when you only give them 10 hours. You know? It just is. Like, even now, people look back on Spider-Man 2 and say that game was too short. And that was still a $300 million game. Like, when all was said and done, according to the leaks. Like, it was between $200 and $300 million, which is insane for what we got. Now, I don't think Spider-Man 2 was mediocre. Maybe not mediocre. It was meh just because of the length. I think it was because there was a lot of other crap going on that made it not great. Like the freaking podcasts and the MJ sections. But that's a topic of, for another day. But, yeah, I think that whether we like it or not, whether they should or not, they will start to transition to tighter budgeted stuff, because that's what the industry kind of demands right now. Joraptor even posted this. New mini-segment. Ghost of Yotei's budget will seemingly be around the same as Ghost of Tsushima, which was reported at roughly $60 million. Just to bear in mind, Spider-Man 1 reportedly had a budget of $90 million. Spider-Man 2, roughly $300 million. And again, these are not just made up numbers, okay? Like, the people often say Concord cost $400 million. The Concord $400 million number literally came from just Colin Moriarty saying that he had a source who said he had heard it cost around $400 million. As far as I'm aware, and I could be wrong, but as far as I'm aware right now, that number has not been corroborated by anybody else. The $400 million number for Concord. I think to get there, you have to build in the cost of acquisitions, the cost of other development houses working on it, opportunity cost and marketing costs, all of that stuff. Then maybe you can get to $400 million. But even then, it's been disputed by a lot of people. This number, the $300 million number, that comes from that leak of Insomniac's internal data with their like slideshows and stuff that were not public facing. So that comes from data internal that you were never supposed to see. And that said it was 300 million. Okay. So this is not just making it up. KCD2's budget was reported around 40 million US dollars as well. I don't think it's because of the scope, but due to employee count and mismanagement. I think absolutely there is a component of that. I will also say I've been blessed. I've been blessed by the power of the Lord to go and see some of these studios, to go and meet some of these developers in the studio, the building where they make these games. And I will say, some of them have blown me away with how bougie they are. Okay. If you're making the best games in the industry and you're making ridiculous money, I'm okay if you have like a private chef. That's cool. That's badass. Imagine, Jacob, if we had a studio where we were working and I had a private chef for us to make dinners and lunches every day. That would be super cool. And if you're at the top of the industry, spend your money however you want. But I've seen even studios that are not at the top of their game that are in these unbelievably beautiful, like skyscrapers with 30, 40 foot tall ceilings on each floor. So they have like 3-4 floors for each floor of the studio because it's so expansive. Like, unbelievable amounts of money spent on things that ultimately don't really matter. And it's why it's also funny. You compare it to some of these other studios that reportedly have much tighter budgets. And it's always funny to me how, like, how the tighter budgeted studios always seem to have more humble studio spaces. Kojima Productions, for example, it's a whole lot of like cubicles and open floor space, but this is their studio. Okay. Like this is Kojima Productions. This is where they make Death Stranding and all of that. And they have some beautiful vistas and stuff. Absolutely. They have like this little meeting area. As you can see, it's like a little bar area where you can sit, but this is where the work is happening. You're all together kind of in this space. Some of the places I've been to do not work that way. Like it's crazy the amount of money they've spent in these. Probably the craziest studio. I didn't get to see this one in person. I've seen pictures of it and videos of it, but this was absolutely crazy. Oh, come on. Where is it? S Game Studio location, maybe? It's S Game. The guy's making Phantom Blade Zero. Their CEO, as far as I understand it, used to be an environment designer on like sci-fi games, and this is what their studio looks like. Okay, like it's crazy. This is their conference room. One of them. Like, again, I respect it. That's cool. You can actually go, the guys that went out to China, they actually got to tour the studios and see this and do interviews and stuff in them. This is legitimately what it looks like. It does kind of look AI generated because everybody's like, no, how on earth would you do this? Why would you do this in a studio? It's just badass, dude. But this is the reason I bring this up is because some of the things like that can drive up development costs because you are spending a lot of money on a really fancy building, on really fancy furniture, on renovations to the building, on a private chef in the studio space, on a private gym. There was one of the places I visited a studio that had a full, it was like, I think they said it was like 3,500 square foot gym that was just for their company. Just for their company. Not for the building, for their company. And listen, part of the reason that they do this is to appeal to talent, because if you're trying to get like one of the top level designers or programmers or I don't know, gameplay designers in the world, and you're trying to get them to move over from maybe Rockstar, who has a really cool office. If you can say, yeah, we've also got this gym in the office, we've got a sauna in the office, we've got this and that, a private chef, all that. It's amenities to attract the talent and retain it. So that you could argue is part of the expense, is to like retain talent. But that's also, I think, how some of these studios end up with just ungodly budgets. Okay. Because money gets spent on all of this other stuff. It's similar to what you've seen if you've ever seen one of those videos of like a day in the life of a Facebook employee. It will like break your brain. Where for one, it seems like they're not doing anything, but then they just spend all day eating. Maybe this is it. Is this the video I was thinking of?
After I had my coffee, because I feel like I'm so much better with caffeine. So I'm a remote employee, but today I fly into Austin to go to the downtown Austin office. This place is massive with 20 plus floors. So because I don't know where I'm going, I head to the Wayfinder and search for the closest cafe. I make my way to breakfast and decide to have tofu smashed and scrambled eggs. Yes, I'm a vegetarian and been that way for 7 years. After breakfast, I grab a bran and almond flour and an herbe mate drink to bring me through the next 4 meetings. Because I don't sit in the office, I actually don't have a seat. So I make my way to the library to find a cozy spot to take the next 4 hours worth of meetings. Done with meetings, and I realize that I forget to bring my toothbrush. Good news for me is Uncle Zuck already thought about that. Wait, who's that? Hey girl, hey. Anyways, off to lunch to meet my totally badass minority sister friend who is completely self-made, dominated the ad business. We go to this bougie little country club place for midday cocktails. Back to the office. In full transparency, I only go back to the office to take pictures and hang out on the terrace. Time to grab a Red Bull after a long day at work, and suddenly I realized, damn, I drink too much coffee. Anyways, ladies, follow me if you want to live the FANG life, and I'll give you tips and tricks and best practice on how to land a job in tech.
Meanwhile, you woke up early to drive to work, and you packed your own lunch, and you got home feeling sore and tired, trying to provide for your family. I don't know. And unfortunately, there's a lot of videos like that. Like, this is a separate one. We don't have to watch the whole thing.
Living in New York City. I took the subway and I kind of was struggling because I forgot what it's like to commute, but I was really excited to go back in the office.
Is this song gonna get us copyright struck because it's the up sound? It might. But again, all catered food, catered drinks. They do meetings, like 4 or 5 meetings, more food. And then, yeah, this is at Instagram. And then they go and see an art exhibit, it seems. Like, more food. Why is it always just food, dude? They're working at Facebook and all they post about is the food. It's ridiculous. But this is part of the reason in like modern tech jobs, a lot of money gets spent on stupid stuff. Just stupid stuff, okay? It just does, okay? Now, I'm not necessarily saying that that's what's happening with Spider-Man 2, but it really does make me wonder, how on earth do they spend $300 million on a game that most people thought was meh, and that was like all of 12 to 15 hours long? Yeah, I know. Luke, there's more stuff if you're a completionist. I know. 99% of people are not completionists, though. Like, the core content was pretty lacking. And it was certainly not more expansive, as far as I could tell, beyond the added burrows than Spider-Man 1 was. And certainly in terms of, like, gameplay offerings, because most of it was developed within Miles Morales. So I don't know how you get to that number, other than mismanagement, misspending. I don't even know. I don't know. That's such a ridiculously high number. It's insane. Horizon 1 cost roughly $60 million. Horizon 2 cost $212. $212 million. Like, we get numb to these numbers because they're big. But it's hard to put into words how much freaking money that is, and how utterly amazing it is that the games don't perform as well as they should, given that spending. Like, for example, Horizon 1 cost $60 million. The big problem for Horizon Forbidden West, and I've talked to Joe Raptor about this on our podcast, was that it did not, as far as we know with all publicly available data, it did not substantially or significantly in any way outperform the first game. It sold about as well as the first game, if not a little bit worse. Now, granted, Horizon 1 went on discount. It became kind of a mascot game for the PlayStation 5, so they wanted to really push it out there and get it in front of people. So they did bundles with it. They did it heavy discounts on it. So that certainly helped in terms of raw unit count. But the point is, if you spend 3.5, 4 times as much money on the second game versus the first, you would expect it to outperform the first, right? Like, you'd at least hope that it would do that, but it's not. The budgets are skyrocketing, but the performance of the games subsequently, the performance is not skyrocketing, which is a big problem. Last of Us Part 1 cost roughly $20 million. Last of Us Part 2 cost around $240. $240. Where's that money going? That's a great question. Fantastic question. You know, we actually did a segment on where maybe some of this money is going, because I follow Neil Druckmann on Instagram, and if you watch occasionally, you can find some interesting things. But I like watches too. And so what I want to do is start a new rare segment. We won't do it all the time, called Neil's Watch, where we watch out for Neil's watches and see how nice they are, and I show you how much they're worth. Because, and then I play our jingle.
Neil has a lot more money than you. He's better than us. We're poor.
Neil does in fact have a lot more money than us, and therefore he is better and we are poor. This watch right here, he's got a picture playing Ninja Gaiden on the Switch 2 in Alaska. Baller. Love that. This watch, I believe I found it. Question. The 5. It is a Patek Philippe 16R 001, the Aquanaut travel time. And if it is in fact this one, this is a quite nice watch. This is a very nice watch. Comes in just under 70K brand new. Might have bought it used. A lot of people buy their watches used. But honestly, if you made The Last of Us, if you made one of the most successful game franchises of all time, you are president of Naughty Dog, you can get yourself a really nice watch. I'll tell you what. It's not. So, and again, I respect it. You make a lot of money, you spend the money how you want, but I get to notice it and talk about it. Them's the rules. I'm just telling you, that's how it works. So, I mean, clearly there's a lot of money being spent on these games. Like a crazy amount of money being spent on them. And the money has to be going somewhere. And the people at the top are starting to flex ridiculously nice apparel, which, let's be honest, I'm jealous of. I would love a Patek Philippe. I ain't that rich. You know, I just ain't. I ain't that rich. So yes, people are like, Luke, you're just jealous of him. Mm-hmm. Yes. Got me. Yes. I would love to have enough money where I could casually spend $70,000 on a watch. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Spending a very nice salary on a watch. Yeah, hell yeah. I respect it. So I don't know where all the money's going. We know with like Bungie, for example, a lot of the people that were in the upper echelons of Bungie were making a lot of money, and sort of, I mean, it seems like it definitely wasn't going towards making better games. There was the stories of the CEO's buying habits where he's spending like $2.5-3 million in the span of a year on different cars and stuff. You know, there's certainly people that are making a lot of money while the budgets are skyrocketing. And I don't think it's the low level employees. You know, I don't think it is. Maybe it is. Maybe they've given 30, 40, 50% raises to the entire teams. But based on the job postings, I've not seen that happen yet. I just haven't. I have not. Maybe it is. Maybe I just need to get good, but I've not seen that. So Caleb says with a $10 super chat, look at this brokey over here. I bet you don't even have a terrace at your job or a badass minority sister that made it selling pop-up ads. You're right. You got me there, Caleb. I don't have a terrace. I don't have a terrace, and I don't have a badass minority sister either. As much as I want one, I don't have one. You got me there. But all of this to say, I know I said at the top of this was going to be a mini segment, and then it's just turned into me rambling for 20 minutes. Sorry, Jacob. Have fun with this one. That's what makes this all the more remarkable, that they've managed to put this together for $60 million. Is it that they've just, like, I guess, held back spending on watches and terraces? Maybe. Is it that they've not tried to push the software boundary too much? Maybe. Is it that perhaps with some of these projects with the bloated expenses, are they bundling into this through some clever accounting? Some of the costs on other things that didn't see the light of day. Like, is part of the part 2 expense some of the Last of Us Online development that started in 2019 through 2020? Did they take some of that cost and bundle it into the part 2's spend? I don't know. Maybe part of Spider-Man 2's budget being $300 million is also money spent on the online mode that was canceled. Who knows? You just never know. But it makes it all the more remarkable that they've managed to keep it at $60 million for Ghost of Yotei, which means that almost certainly this thing is going to be a money-making machine. You know, it is. It's already topping the pre-order charts globally. Even the deluxe edition versions are. And as long as it doesn't review abysmally badly, it should sell very, very well and make a hefty profit. Jor clipped this little tidbit from the article where he actually gave a broader interview. This is, I believe, the same interview where the CEO, or rather the co-founder, Brian Fleming, was asked about the employee who got fired and finally addressed it and was like, yep, there's no place in our studio if you're celebrating political assassinations. Shocker. You're not going to have a job for very long. But yeah, it's a very interesting interview. I recommend you check it out. But what he said was, when we look at the financials and costs, the man years, the amount of months that the team times the size of the team worked on it, it's very, very similar actually. Which again is just crazy. It's in an age of skyrocketing costs, they've managed to keep the budget that low. It makes you pause and go, okay, so is this a management issue, or is this an IP issue, or like what's going on? How is it that you can have a AAA PlayStation game in the form of Yote that's 60 while Spider-Man 2 is costing 300 million? Is it literally just the Spider-Man like Marvel licensing stuff? Is that what it is? Is it that, like you said, Darth, is it that they've been able to reuse a lot of assets? Maybe. That's probably a big component of it. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. They can reuse a lot of stuff. So I'm sure that's a component of it. People have complained that the game looks and probably plays pretty similarly to Ghost of Tsushima. And as a result, it probably has not had to have a ton of extra work done by contractors or by outside firms to rebuild components of it and come up with all new models, animations, everything. Like, they've been able to reuse a lot of that. I'm not sure. But this is a very viable project. 60 million bucks, put it together, and you can, and now that's adjusted for, this is not adjusted for 2025 dollars. So anybody who's saying that, like, he's quoting it as being roughly the same time, same size, amount of people working on it, time working on it, months working on it. He's saying that the work that's gone into Yote is about the same as the first game. And from that, we're extrapolating the budget, because the first game cost 60. So if it's pretty much the same amount of work, it should be about 60. No doubt costs have risen for certain things. So it's probably more like 80 to 90 million if you adjust for inflation, likely pay raises, added costs for everything else, whether it's healthcare or real estate rentals, hardware, server, infrastructure, all that. But still, coming in at 80 to 90 million is still way better than 300. You know, especially because Ghost of Yote will probably sell pretty damn well. I don't know if it'll sell as well as Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2 is a Spider-Man game, but still, it'll turn a hefty profit for sure. So we'll see. I think Spider-Man 2 cut a lot of content from the budget to use for spin-offs and future games. It's very, very possible. It's very possible. And it's like I've said a bajillion times. Typically in business, any degree in business, if you see something that doesn't make sense, like a $300 million budget for something, and you're like, that doesn't make sense, almost always there is an explanation. There is an answer. You just are missing a piece of the puzzle that will make it make sense. You're wondering why Bethesda got so greedy all of a sudden in 2018. People are like, have they lost their minds? What's going on? And then you get the added piece of information. Oh, they're trying to sell. Oh, they're trying to boost their numbers so they can get more when they sell to a daddy company. Oh, it all connects, right? So typically if something doesn't make sense, it's because you're just missing a piece of the puzzle that will make it make sense. And in the case of Spider-Man 2, the budget, I don't know if it's, I suspect they might have bundled in some of the development cost on the multiplayer stuff that they scrapped. You're right, they might have stripped out certain quests, certain, I don't even know, certain stuff that they worked on that they intended to put in the game that they pulled out for DLC that they eventually scrapped and walked away from. I don't know. Is there a mommy company? Yeah. I'll let you figure out which one. But yes. There's a daddy company and a mommy company. And when they get together, they have a baby company. It's like when Microsoft, the daddy company, gets with Nvidia, the mommy company, they come together and they have a baby company called OpenAI. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? It's beautiful when you think about it. It really is. It really is a beautiful thing if you break it down, if you think about it. It really is. Okay. So, anyway, we'll see how Ghost of Yotei settles out and lands. I love it when Jor is just like, not true. I respect it, because this is a post from Leaks and Rumors. For those wondering how they spent so much, at least most of it went to salaries, bonuses, benefits of their own employees. Oh, and they also need to sell 7.2 million full price. And this is a screen cap from the slideshow from the leaks. And oh, I see what they did. They're looking at a slideshow of the overall budget from the leaks, and then they're trying to say that that's specific spending for Spider-Man 2, when that's not what it is. I'm not going to show the screen caps that they showed because it also includes specific information about like employee information. So I'm not going to show that on screen, but yeah, there is information here, but it's about the broader company. It's not about specific project breakdowns. The $300 million price tag for Spider-Man was specific for Spider-Man 2. Like it wasn't just broad company spending, because the company's working on multiple things at the same time. So if you're like, hey, the company spent $300 million in 2025, it's like, okay, but what projects was that on? Was it on 3 projects? Oh, then you break it down, how much money was spent on each one. You know, it's not as simple as just looking at the balance sheet and concluding what they did for individual projects. But anyway. So interesting little find by Joe Raptor within the interview. Like I said, I think most likely the actual cost, because he's just describing it as work, the actual cost is probably still higher. It's probably like $90 million or something, if you consider that they've given raises to people and cost of expenses on everything else have also raised. But overall, they've not like doubled the head count to put out this game. Like they've managed to keep it pretty much similar, which is a rarity nowadays. So props to them. But who knows? Maybe for the next game, they'll get that terrace and the private chef, and they'll go to lunch with their, what was it? What did you say it was, Caleb? A badass minority sister that made it in selling pop-up ads. Yeah, maybe for the next game they'll get that and they can finally turn this around. But we'll see. Oh my God. Okay, let me catch up on these real quick. Excuse me. Let's see. Fetus Kicker 64. Thank you for the membership. Jesus. Kyle Parkhurst, thank you for the membership as well. Rob, thank you for the 2. Shadows fixed day night. Arrow, you made them change it. I did complain a lot. If you're talking about AC Shadows, the day night cycle stuff, yeah, I verbalized all of my frustrations and complaints when I told you guys in those videos that I told like the creative director of the project, I think it needs a higher difficulty option. I think the stealth is too easy. Like I actually did tell them all of that, and they did like fix a lot of it. It was not just me, I'm sure, telling them that and complaining about it, but I'm glad to see that they've taken those steps to make those improvements. It's really nice to see. I'm sure other people don't think it's an improvement, but I think it is. Claus of Awaji not getting great reviews. The problem is it's apparently on Steam. There's an issue where you can buy it and it doesn't show up, which is a problem. That's a big oopsie. So 1000% that's an issue. I think part of the problem is that they have the Steam version of the game and they have the Uplay version of the game. And for some people, the DLC was unlocked on Uplay for their account, but that version of the DLC specifically tied to Uplay did not connect to Steam. So people wanted to play it through Steam, but the DLC wasn't unlocked on Steam, even if they pre-ordered it. So it caused all sorts of issues. I don't know if they fixed it yet, but yeah, they need to figure that out. Let's see. Grimlock, thank you. Will you be looking at the Arc Raiders new trailer? Possibly, if we have time for it. I'm not sure how much there is to talk about with it, but Yeah, man, I'm all in for our creators. I'm excited for that. Jack, thank you for the 5 as well. I'm just excited for the game and don't care about the drama, but they're getting torn apart in every YouTube comment section covering the game. Oh, Yote? I understand the frustration and the outrage around the employee that made those posts. Was it to X or was it to Blue Sky? I don't know. I don't remember which it was. But they got fired, which I thought is what people wanted. And then they were like, we want the CEO to speak on it. And then he did, but it came too late. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the request is now, like what they want from it. But there's a lot of misunderstanding with all of this stuff. Like I saw one guy comment on our recent video talking about Bethesda Game Studios and something with regard to Bethesda Game Studios. And he was like, I can't believe anybody would talk about them anymore after what they posted after the Charlie Kirk stuff. And they're talking about the post that they made on the Bethesda Softworks account, which I also found very distasteful, if you ask me. But like they also made that post over there, but that was not Bethesda Game Studios. So there's a lot of confusion over like who's posting what and where. It's like, no, BGS is its own thing. You don't have to like them, but like they didn't post that. That was this parent company over here and their marketing department. So that was a separate thing. And I think that there's just a lot of confusion because people hear Bethesda and they just throw it out all over the place, you know? Because unfortunately for a lot of people, they're not really interested in the games. They're more interested in like the cultural outrage. And I can understand why. It's certainly a politically charged topic for sure. So I can appreciate the passion behind it for sure. But it's also like, if you're getting things factually wrong, like you don't have to like BGS, but they did not make that post. That was the corporate company over here that does the marketing for Indiana Jones, which is why they posted that. Like, so they're separate. It's not, as much as we clown on Todd, it's not fair to bash Todd for that because he literally had nothing to do with it, you know? Like it wasn't even connected to him. But anyway, that's a whole other thing, you know? Let's see. And then Jeebus Christ. He is with us, everyone, in chat. Jeebus Christ is here. We've been waiting for you. He finally came. He finally arrived. Oh. Anyway. People need to go outside. Well, it's a lot of these guys, they need... I think most people who are genuinely upset about it are just genuinely upset about it. But there's a lot of the like ringleader types who are looking for something else to farm. And after AC Shadows came out and kind of came and went, they tried to move on, and they also were trying to get like KCD2 canceled, and then they gave up on that. Then they tried to get Monster Hunter Wilds canceled because there were women in that, and so that was a problem apparently. And then they kind of gave up on that because Monster Hunter Wilds ended up being a big game. So they've been looking, you know, they kind of turn into a hammer in search of a nail, and sometimes they hit a nail right on the head and it's totally justified. It's like, yeah, that is a reason to be upset. Other times they're just bashing windows and walls, and it's like not it kind of undermines their own goals, you know, in my opinion. Thank you for that.
Reggie donated 1,500 Icelandic kroner through Super Chat. Speaking of Ghost of Yote Drama, the actress who plays the main character is getting hate again for saying she is anti-fascist, something like that, which I find ridiculous, has nothing to do with Yote.
Yeah, I've seen the post. It was a post she made back in like 2020. And ultimately, like, my stance with all this stuff is if you want to boycott a game or a product or a store or whatever and not buy it, that is your prerogative and your right. Cool. What I find cringe, whether it's people trying to get you to cancel pre-orders or purchases of like GTA 6, because they also start trying to go after GTA 6, or trying to cancel Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling. I just find it cringe when people are trying to bully others into joining their boycotts. I just find it cringe. And honestly, I think it tends to undermine their own movement. So I don't think it's effective. I just don't think it's effective. Yeah, GTA 6 too. Yeah, there was a small like 30 follower account who forged some pictures and stuff and tried to start a scandal about GTA 6 and some of the actors involved with that. And so some big channels picked it up and started running with it. Channels, some big Twitter accounts picked it up and ran with it. But yeah, because, you know, they have a lot of free time because they're not working on the games that they're supposed to be putting out that they've been working on for years, that they took money for. No, they don't, not working on that. They've got time for other stuff, but not that. Anyway, it's all just, you know, one thing after another. They'll find something else to rage about, and I'm sure they'll try to get GTA 6 canceled for a week and a half until they realize it's going to do well regardless, and then they'll move on. It's the same thing they did with a bunch of other games too. It just is what it is. Ultimately, like, they might come in, they might freak out, downvote, but they're not actually interested in the games. They're interested in the cultural stuff. And that's your prerogative. You can talk about the cultural stuff all you want. That's cool. I'll support your right to do it. I don't think you should have to. I think you should be able to talk about it. Like, absolutely. But let's not conflate it. Like, you're not truly interested in games. Like, you're just interested in the culture war stuff. And I think a lot of people are just tired of it. You know, they just want to play a good game. They're like, okay, so one person that worked on this out of hundreds or even thousands of people said something I don't like. Okay. Does that mean I throw the entire thing out? I don't see how that follows. Like, 2 years ago, you were saying that it's unfair to cancel Hogwarts Legacy because one person, J.K. Rowling, said some stuff that you hate. That's unfair. But now this time you're willing to do it because an actress posted something 5 years ago? You know, like, it gets very hypocritical very quickly the more you dig into it, which is why it fries your brain and why I like to talk about games at the end of the day. Okay, so let's talk about this. New segment. Let's cleanse our minds of the stupid stuff and talk about other stupid stuff. Like terrible performance. Let's do it. Okay. So this just started going around this morning, clipped from a few different sources, but we're going to break it down and look at it because I will confess, I fell victim to it initially as well. I did. I saw these screen caps. I saw people talking about it, and I assumed that those people were accurately reporting the information. But they may not have been. What I'm referring to is this post, this screen grab from a video put together, I believe it's a Spanish like tech channel on YouTube. They do hardware reviews and game reviews on performance and stuff. But they posted this side by side talking about the performance on PlayStation 4 Silent Hill F, which as of right now seems to be getting pretty solid reviews. It's in the high 80s as of the time of the recording of this segment. Last I checked, I believe it was at 86 on Metacritic, which is a very solid score for any game. That's very, very respectable. And but the reason this was going around is because it's an Unreal Engine game. Okay, so the eyes are on the money when it comes to performance with any Unreal Engine game and project. And what's alleged in this post and in these screen grabs and this outlet that did the initial side by side was that it can run at upscaled 4K at 30 FPS in quality mode. To do that, it's using temporal upscalers, things like FSR, or if you're using the PS5 Pro, it's using PISR. And it's doing that in quality mode on the base PS5, rendering starting at 720p and then upscaling to 4K. We'll talk about this in just a second, so bear with me. For the performance mode, They allege it's running at 1800p 60 locked, but it's upscaling using dynamic resolution scaling anywhere from 720p all the way down to 360p. Which is crazy. And then as for the PS5 Pro, they do an upscaled 4K 60 mode, upscaling from 720p. Now, when I saw this, like I said at the top, I immediately was like, so they counted pixels, they found that? That's crazy. And I wanted to just go straight into this. Looking at it though, there are people claiming the opposite. As you can see, this has been reposted by Carson, FNAF News, your number one source for FNAF News, saying the metrics on this Silent Hill F performance video are completely wrong. This channel has a bad track record with getting the metrics right. Don't believe everything you see, just enjoy the game. The channel also said, for example, that Dying Light the Beast was running at 576p when it was actually running at more than 1080p resolution per Digital Foundry. And he can also refer or confirm that Steel Wool confirms that SOTM is there. Once again, they did it. Congrats to Scott. So this gave me pause. Okay, I don't want to just jump on the bandwagon. Let's see how it actually performs. And as you can see, Digital Foundry has done a deep dive on this. I am much more inclined to believe Digital Foundry's testing. I actually did look into trying to do this type of testing myself, and I was like, maybe we could do it on stream. The problem is the pixel counting stuff is very, very tedious, and it's not very entertaining to watch. So I kind of gave up on that idea, but maybe we'll do it eventually. It could be interesting, but as of right now, I gave up on it. But as you can see, the video says Silent Hill F review, PlayStation 5 and PS5 Pro. Impressive on base, problems on Pro. Is this another example of a game with pisser implementation issues? Happens to the best of us. It's part of growing older. I get it, but it feels crazy that the PlayStation 5 Pro has been like the big console for Sony for a while. Like a year at this point. I don't even know when it came out. And it still feels like it has not gotten the broad support and really, really high effort implementation of ports and PS5 Pro verified or optimized that the PlayStation 4 Pro had. It felt like PlayStation 4 Pro, pretty much every game after it came out had a PS4 Pro mode, like dedicated to it, a performance set that just made it run better across the board. Maybe it was just unlocking the frame rate or whatever. But with the PS5 Pro, it seems like a lot of games, maybe not a lot, but at least a few very, very recognizable big budget massive games run worse on PS5 Pro, which is bizarre, but we'll see what we're dealing with. Talk to me, Digital Foundry.
Konami's Silent Hill revival is in full swing. After a decade-long dormancy, we've seen a recent smattering of series content, highlighted by last year's excellent Silent Hill 2 remake.
Isn't it crazy that Konami took all this time off after Kojima left and everything? You know what they said their primary goal was from like 2015 to 2022? Their primary goal in gaming. Do you remember what it was? Do you remember? They refocused all of their efforts, all the teams that worked on console games, everything. Exactly. Pachinko game machines. And if you don't know pachinko are these like, they're mechanical games originating in Japan, used as an arcade game more frequently for gambling. They fill a niche Japanese gambling compared to that of a slot machine in the West as form low stakes, low strategy gambling. Basically, they're kind of like Japanese slot machines. So they gave up on like Silent Hill and Metal Gear to put the effort here, which is wild, but that's where they went. That's what they did. And maybe they made a lot of money doing that. I mean, obviously the company is still fine, but it's pretty remarkable that they've been able to come out of that period and then kind of get back up and rolling pretty quickly. Of course, Silent Hill 2 remake was made by somebody else, but they still supervised it. And Silent Hill F seems to be getting received really well. Metal Gear Solid Delta has been received really well despite performance issues. So it's very crazy to see how quickly they've gotten back into it.
Upcoming Silent Hill F, though, offers a full-fledged brand new Silent Hill experience, built independent of other series entries. So is Silent Hill F a successful installment in the long-running horror franchise? And how does it fare on PS5 consoles?
How do it fare? How do it fare? Also, just as a word of warning, apparently the IGN review has some potential spoilers, so just be aware of that if you were worried about it.
Silent Hill F is often visually arresting. This series entry is set in mid-20th century Japan, breaking from the contemporary American stylings of prior efforts. Expect a lot of organic materials, especially brownish gray woods and earth, along with sickly red flowers and green foliage.
John the Tank.
John the Tank donated $10 through Super Chat. I swear these screen grabs all look the same. I'm so glad I don't have an eye for frame rates. It sounds like you can't enjoy any game with an eye for that.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's why I told people, if you have a, like when I used to sell high-end, like home theater setups with Magnolia Home Theater, when I worked there, I told people, like, don't come in and see me and like do the whole thing, getting to look at the screens and having me explain what looks good, what looks bad. Why is this TV 100 inches and $1,800 while this one's 100 inches and it's 15,000? Like, why is there the difference? Once I explain it to you, you will never be able to unsee it. And everything for the rest of your life will look like garbage. So for a lot of people, it's nicer to live in like blissful ignorance. I'm telling you what, like, honestly, if you don't have the eye for frame rates and for resolutions and stuff, appreciate that. Cherish it. Hold it near and dear to your heart, because once you've tasted the forbidden fruit, there is no going back. Same with audio. Audio, you can get used to bad audio, if you stop listening to nice speakers and headphones and stuff for a while. But high-end visuals and stuff, there's no going back. There's no going back. Okay, there's just no going back. So appreciate it. Good food too. Yeah, once you've tasted an amazing steak, those like Asmongold little steaks, no, if you can call them steaks. No. Once you've tasted the forbidden fruit, there's no going back. You've gained the knowledge of good and evil and high refresh rate televisions, and you can never go back.
There are industrial touches here and there, but modern machinery is sparsely strewn, and the game's architecture is primitive. In true Silent Hill fashion, everything is blanketed in a thick haze of volumetric fog, which is omnipresent during most daytime outings. It's a very well executed look. A lot of the visual credit here goes to Epic, because this is another Unreal Engine 5 title, just like last year's Silent Hill 2 remake. The trifecta of standout UE5 technologies, Lumen, Nanite, and Virtual Shadow Maps, are in use here, and define the game's presentation. F is lit often using soft, diffuse skylight, which is a lighting condition that highlights lumen strengths. Light fills these spaces with a kind of soft, ambient luminance that is occluded gently, which is a scenario where rasterized lighting techniques tend to fail. Expect to make out subtle occlusion in the corners of rooms, underneath roots, and around tufts of foliage, with minimal screen space artifacts.
Yeah, the lighting is very, very soft, but I also think that this is part of the reason why a lot of people, I think a lot of people don't see the improvements or the differences. For one, these are smaller gradations of color that are very soft and are appreciable if you know what you're looking for one, and if you have a display capable of showing them. One of the problems, and I'm about to give you a little breakdown, okay? I'm about to spoil your whole world, okay? You're never going to be the same, okay? just warning you. Everything's about to change. Your life's about to be ruined. Here we go. So there's a key difference in display technologies. Most modern TVs are working with a couple of possible technologies, okay? They're either edge lit, they're lit back with a back panel. Sometimes they call them micro LEDs. Sometimes they could call them lighting zones. There's all sorts of different names for each manufacturer. They call them different things. It's just kind of is case by case. And then there's like OLED technology. For OLEDs, each individual pixel creates its own light. And so you can have inky blacks where there is literally not a single nit of light being emitted from the corner of the screen because there is no light there. The pixel is not emitting anything. So you have amazing contrast. And in something like Silent Hill F, this will give you those really smooth gradations of color, especially if it's an HDR panel and you're playing on like a console that supports that. But it also means that the tree areas back here, the black is going to be inky back there. And that contrast is going to make it look amazing, okay? For edge-lit panels, how they work is basically, does he have mini LED, OLED, quantum dot? These are all like edge-lit, there you go. Basically how they work is that there are LEDs or basically a light bar at the bottom, if you think of it that way. And then that light shines up from the bottom or the top, or sometimes both. Sometimes it's from the sides. Again, it depends on the manufacturer. But this is how you'll have a TV that's typically very large and cheap. But you'll notice when there's something black on screen, it may look gray. And it's because if there's a section of black, like in the windows, it doesn't get to just turn off the light there because the stuff above it also needs to be lit. So the backlight still has to emit light, and that spreads from here, but it also spreads in the black areas. So you get a dark gray, right? And so this is also why some people, they'll have a TV where like, you know, you're watching the show and then the credits start rolling and then it goes to black. And then it like the display turns off and it's like actually black. And then it maybe comes up and another piece of white text appears on the black background, but then the black background turns gray again. It's because they have to light that one thing. And because of that, they have to light the entire panel, right? And edge-lit TVs, which tend to be much, much cheaper. If you've ever bought a TV in a Walmart or in a Costco or in a Sam's Club or Target, unless it's a very nice one like an OLED that's specifically marketed as an OLED, you're probably buying an edge-lit TV. Probably. Costco does have OLEDs, but if you've ever seen those deals where it's like, the one I mentioned earlier, I just saw a TikTok about it actually, which is why I thought of it, where they were like, wow, 100-inch TV, 100-inch TV, that's only $1,500. This is crazy. I'm living the dream. It's like, there's a reason it's cheap. As big as it is, there's a reason it's cheap, okay? And I think the problem is that a lot of these really impressive graphical features in modern games, they can only really be appreciated with QLEDs, with like micro LED panels. Local dimming is the other thing that's very common, where they have like zones of LEDs that can be lit individually. But they can only really be appreciated with these higher end panels, which is what they're using in the studios when they develop the game. But if you're using like an edge-lit panel, a lot of this detail is going to be washed out. A lot of the contrast is going to be lost. It's just not going to show up the same. And then therefore people will consume the content and find it lacking because they're like, I don't see a difference, which is true. There's nothing wrong with that. Because they're accurately reporting it. They do not see a difference. The improvements were made for the people that could afford the nicer, you know, higher end TVs that would show it, you know, and so it's just a different thing. Talk about mini LED too. Mine uses mini LED and it's amazing. Well, yeah, exactly. So the age old thing is that OLEDs are great for dark spaces, like home theaters. If you have if you're lucky enough to have one, something like that. Not a lot of ambient light, not a lot of windows, sliding glass door, that type of thing. If you have a room in the basement, OLEDs are great for that. If you have a lot of ambient light and it's bright in the room, projectors are a bad idea. And also OLEDs will do fine. They'll be perfectly fine. But the best case scenario is like a mini LED or like QLED is another one Samsung markets that way. But those are very, very bright while achieving very close to the same contrast levels as an OLED. And they're also fantastic. So yeah, the best TVs on the market right now, I believe, are typically rated as the QLED panels. If you want to know where your TV ranks, you can actually just go to our Tings. They do fantastic reviews and stuff of these types of devices. So you can see best TVs, best TV brands, best popular TV reviews. Where's just best TVs? What did they rank the best one? Yeah, the best one they rated was the Samsung S95F OLED, not a QLED this year. OLED, booyah. Booyah. But you can see they tested in mixed usage, home theater spaces, bright rooms, sports, gaming, all for different uses, so you can pick which one you like. So shout out Artings. They do very good work. Anyway, continuing. Sorry, all of this to say, the reason I brought this up. Isn't this a gaming channel? How dare you? It's a Luke ADHD channel. You should know that by now. The reason I bring this up is because they have made graphical improvements in these games, whether it's Silent Hill F or some of these other games where people are like, it doesn't look any different. It does. But there's a lot of people who very accurately are reporting that they don't see the improvements. They don't see the difference because they don't. You know, it's not one of those things where it's like, you're lying. It's like, no, they literally do not see a difference because they didn't feel like they needed to spend $3,000 on a new TV. Fair. Okay. So it's not unreasonable for them to say that they don't see a lot of improvements graphically, you know, from generation to generation, because they just don't. Anyway.
It's the software lumen version of the technique though, which does have a tendency to darken shadowed regions excessively, though typically in a pleasing way. There's some minor image breakup here and there as well.
Just letting you know, please, Digital Foundry, can you, instead of pleasing way, can you say pleasurable way? I need it in that like very calm, monotone delivery. And they're just like, yeah, and then they darken these areas of the screen in a very pleasurable way. I just need that in my life. It's like, and I found this scene very pleasurable.
But relative to other games that use software lumen, I think F fares quite well. Certain lumen pain points, like small emissive lights, aren't so common here. Silent Hill F also features lumen reflections. These generally add a good amount of perspective-correct depth to scenes that feature water or other glossy surfaces, though typical software...
Glossy surfaces? It's gotta be blood, right? Maybe he's referring to blood. Maybe he's just talking about water and like shiny stuff, but I don't know, it's gotta be blood.
Where lumen concessions are visible. Expect to make out blobby silhouettes of trees and buildings here, but skinned meshes are only reflected in screen space, and oddly the surface color is usually not apparent in these lumen reflections. And
Weird.
Because the SSR samples the scene before fog is applied, there's often a considerable mismatch between the appearance of the scene and the reflection detail, even when the shot can rely on SSR. Virtual shadow maps tie the visuals together. F makes heavy use of UE5's shadow map ray tracing to soften and diffuse shadows as they fall away from the occluding object.
That does look
which
very
creates beautiful results in this window-lit interior scene.
I don't care. She moves weird. Spoken like a true X user. I love it, Fearless Dodo. I don't care. She walks weird. Refunding. Get out of here.
The combination of sharp detail with excellent diffusion attracts the eyes, in situations where cascaded shadow maps would falter. Nanite gives the game's geometry continuous LOD behavior, though it would be pretty hard to make out discrete LOD steps anyways, owing to poor visibility in most areas. The game doesn't necessarily have that pin-sharp film quality nanite look that we find in various UE5 tech demos, but art assets are generally sculpted to a reasonable level of quality. Silent Hill F hits visual highs in its fog-soaked...
Rock's not sharp enough, not rocky enough. It's terrible. I did see, actually, maybe I can find it. Maybe if you guys can find after I describe it, you should send it to me on the Discord so that we can look at it. But I did see a really compelling thread on X like 6 months ago, and I kind of logged into my brain and I didn't really process it. But basically their argument was that Crowbycat, Digital Foundry, and then like a lot of these comparisons and comparison videos have kind of ruined a lot of people's ability to just appreciate games. Because instead of just playing the game and appreciate it, they start to look for like these plots or these holes within the presentation, and that can mean that they just don't enjoy it as much because they're looking for things to have a problem with. And I can see how that argument could be made. I think it's tricky though, because it's like, okay, what do we do that with that information? I think what Digital Foundry has done is it's given people the ability to put words and describe what they're seeing and what they're feeling in a way that they weren't able to before. You know, people might have played a game before and been like, it just looks kind of blurry. They don't realize, oh, that's specifically because of the temporal upscalers and the over reliance on those to hit frame rate targets. And so it's given them vocabulary, but I don't think anything is like fundamentally changed. But I think it's an interesting topic at the very, very least. And I think that's why the discourse about performance has really spiked in the last year and a half. For one, because games continue to run really, really poorly this late in the generation, despite not really looking that much better. And two, because I think that people have a lot more, they have a broader vocabulary because it's discussed more. And so that leads to more discussion and discourse about it. I think it's part of it. Why do they always just show off scenes where they're just walking or jogging? Let me see how it handles combat when it's really being tested. I don't care about that puddle. Well, right now he's just describing the sort of graphical repertoire of the game. So he's breaking it down piece by piece. And then I'm sure when they get into performance metrics, they're going to show some of those sequences. But part of it is that they have to be able, yeah, like here it's running and moving around. Part of it is that they just have to be able to repeat it. So it's not fair to compare like the PS5 Pro played this sequence this way, but then you don't repeat it exactly the same. That's just unreasonable. Let's forward through again to see what else to say about specific performance.
On PlayStation 5, Silent Hill F offers a performance mode and a quality mode. Underlying visual settings seem similar between the two mode variants, outside of some minor changes to Lumen GI. Quality mode has a subtly different appearance if we flash back and forth, but there are no categorical changes, I would say. This doesn't quite track with titles like
You can see like little, like in the cups, I'm seeing a little bit of difference, but really not that much. There's some games where you go performance mode to quality mode and it's night and day. Like, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That game going from performance to quality, night and day. With this, it's really hard to see the difference, you know? Like it's like there's little gradations and light differences, but really not bad. I would just play this on performance mode, honestly.
Mafia, the Old Country.
But like you brought up, maybe it's different in combat. Maybe that's when you see the resolution plummet.
Or Clair Obscur Expedition 33, where close-range traces appeared absent in their performance modes. Lumen reflections only have subtle differences as well. Here, I think the clarity of the reflection is determined by the quality of the SDF representation and the roughness of the reflective material, and less by the resolution of any ray tracing. It's possible that other common UE5 tweaks, like a lowered roughness cutoff, might be in the mix here, but if so, it's not obvious. Volumetric effects are lower quality in the performance mode, which is obvious in the low resolution artifacts that pop up when the fog intersects with the floor here.
See, dude, that's the stuff that I can't stand. This is the stuff that gives me an aneurysm the moment I see it. I don't know. Is this just me? Do you guys like, does this trigger the crap out of you? Like, I struggle with this, man. When I'm just standing there, even if she does walk weird, the like flickering fog and details, it just really, I don't know if I'm OCD or what, but that does just, I just can't. It's just me. Oh, that's good.
The floor here. Other effects that typically scale with resolution seem to differ as well, like VSM quality, though spotting differences is surprisingly challenging. I did spot one difference in VSM coverage in this shot, however. Image quality is really the primary differentiator here. Performance mode is soft but stable, with a 1080p.
We can fix you, Luke. I don't think you can.
like resolve, judging from comparisons to the PC code. Internal resolutions here fall around 1080p as well. Okay. I think TSR is the image treatment of choice based on certain artifact patterns in the final image. F looks quite soft in performance mode, but it's a low contrast haze-ridden game, so I think this image treatment fares fine. Quality mode is sharper, resolves more detail, and has fewer artifacts. We're looking at a 1440p internal resolution typically, with a 1440p-like final image that probably uses TSR. Again, judging from comparisons with PC. For console UE5 software, we'd usually expect games to go up a step, perhaps targeting 1440p in performance mode and 4K in quality mode, and I would be curious to see what Silent Hill would look like with more aggressive upscaling behavior. In performance mode, you should expect a mostly locked 60 FPS update. Silent Hill F was probably built with a close eye on PS5 frame rates throughout development, because it essentially never runs into GPU limited constraints. Unfortunately, F does suffer from traversal stutters, which typically pop up in more open areas. These are sometimes coupled with delta time wobbles, which cause the game to decelerate and accelerate oddly when drops occur. But these problems aren't a major issue in most areas. Expect to see fairly regular drops when roaming around the town in later chapters, but enclosed areas are typically fine, and earlier game content is generally satisfactory. In cinematic sequences, however,
that is crazy. Dude, I totally understand the concerns around The Witcher 4, given how even like Borderlands is really struggling with traversal stutter and stuff. Like Unreal has got to figure it out. This has been a thing, what, for like a year and a half, 2 years, that people keep talking about traversal stutter, and it's still a problem. Like, I am not a software engineer. I am not a graphics engineer or programmer. I will not pretend to know how you fix that. I am far too stupid to know how to do that. But bro, everybody agrees this is a problem. Everybody. And it's to the point where people see UE5 tied next to a game. Like, you know, they do the logo splash screen. Coming December 15th. And coming to these consoles. Unreal Engine logo. People immediately roll their eyes and sigh now. It's too bad. Yeah, UE slop is a meme now. Or what was the other one? There's another one. I don't remember what it was, like stutter. I don't know. Unreal stutter. And I don't remember what it was, but there's all sorts of memes tied to it, specifically over the bad performance in open world games. And so for The Witcher 4, I'm like, they know about it for sure. They got to figure it out. Sneaky Pickle Luke, if you can't run it, just refund it, like Randy said. I love the occasional insinuations. He never outright said it, but the occasional insinuations that if you can't run the game, that it's because you don't have a nice enough computer, and he, like, low-key you're broke. It was very funny. Because it was like, he's not saying that, but he's also not saying that, you know? Like
the game falls to 30 FPS. Quality mode predictably rises above these issues for the most part.
Phantom Blade uses a custom version of UE5 apparently. I will say the times I've tried Phantom Blade, it just keeps getting more and more impressive, and it just runs better and better and better and better. So we'll see how it ends up in the final version, but I believe whatever wizardry they're working on with that, I'm sure it's going to be pretty well executed.
By targeting a lower refresh. F has no problem reaching 30 FPS.
Wait, Randy did say stay broke or stay hating? Really? Okay. Maybe he did actually say it and I missed it. That's crazy, dude.
Vast majority of the time, with the exception of a few hitches that still breach 33 millisecond frame times. The game's initial running animation does have an issue in quality mode though, where the player appears to sharply decelerate briefly before returning to full speed.
Dude, I thought you were just memeing. Wait, who said that? Who said that? Who was the one earlier who was like, she runs weird, I'm not buying? Who was that? Hold on. I gotta apologize, man. I did not realize that she actually ran stupid. I didn't realize. Can I not see it? You guys talk too much. I can't see. I didn't. Oh man, that's so funny. I don't see it. Crap. Okay. Well, whoever said it, I'm sorry. Oh, Fearless Dodo. That's it. Fearless Dodo. Thank you. I am sorry. I'm sorry for alleging that you were just an ex-user finding things to be upset about. I did not realize that she ran like she had a Lego in her left shoe. I'm sorry. And I hope you'll forgive me. He's right though. There is a weird stutter when they're running. Like every once in a while. It's like a little off. It's really weird.
The game's initial running animation does have an issue in quality mode though, where the player appears to sharply decelerate briefly before returning to full speed. This is a distracting issue and it makes the quality mode a bit less enjoyable to play.
What is that?
Unfortunately, PS5 Pro does not fare particularly well with Silent Hill.
That is so weird. There was also an issue. Do you guys remember the Silent Hill 2 remake? There was also an issue with that where it was specifically the animation, like there was an animation timing thing. Silent Hill 2 remake animation issue digital foundry. Because I remember seeing the video and it was like, what is happening? Yeah, this maybe? Visual problems, user mods help. It was really, really weird. Hold on, unmute.
Into it. Yes, there is stuttering.
Broken animations.
The game also suffers from animation smoothness issues, pretty much exactly like I saw in Jedi Survivor. And this surprised me. And in my testing, I think this affects both console and PC, but I can only say with great certainty that something is really wrong on PC. And let me tell you about that. Now, to show you what I mean, let's look at the Ryzen 7 7800X3D's performance again. As I showed off earlier, going down that hill in the intro to the game shows frame time spikes on all machines. And on the 7800X3D, they are pretty short actually. When CPU limited, I measured them to being at the highest, a little bit below 25 milliseconds. Now, usually if you saw frame time spikes up to something like 25 milliseconds, the logical assumption for a player would be, okay, let's cap the frame rate to 30 FPS to get a perfectly smooth experience, because none of the stutters, which are 25 milliseconds, would exceed the 33.3 milliseconds of the 30 FPS frame rate cap. The frame rate cap will essentially hide unevenness in frame times.
Right.
Well, that is not what happens in this game. Check out this footage of the game running on the 7800X3D again, but capped at 30 FPS running down the hill. Take note how it doesn't look smooth at all. There are multiple moments where the animation jumps, rapidly accelerating, and it looks like some sort of frame time hitch has occurred. That should not be the case though. And in fact, looking at the frame rate and frame time reading, we can see that the game is a flawless 30 FPS where each frame is perfectly spaced with 33.3 milliseconds.
Look
the thing
at that.
is, the animation of the frames is heavily flawed. And this is not the first time I've seen this in an Unreal Engine game, and this behavior perturbs me greatly as it goes against all of my knowledge about how animation in games should be handled. I had a hunch as to what the problem might be.
That's crazy,
based
dude.
upon a blog I recently read from Daniel Holden, who works at Epic in animation. Basically, the blog describes something about how delta time is flawed. You don't need to know too much about this, but delta time is essentially the way a game engine can slice up the time for rendering when the frame time is variable so that animations still smoothly animate. In this blog, Daniel points out that the way people and game developers have accounted for variable frame time for animation has been a poor fit in the past, and it has led perhaps to unnecessary animation stutter. The problem is what Daniel is talking about in his blog is actually in reference to frame times exceeding the cap set.
That's great. In essence, it's busted.
A little off topic, but if you want to see how the Xbox Ally will integrate with Steam and other PC launchers, then the latest Xbox PC app update has converted to that format.
Yes.
Want to know your thoughts?
Solo Reaper, thank you for the 10. Maybe I'm alone in this. I freaking hate the update to the Xbox app. Oh my God. I cannot stand how I launch the Xbox app because I'm like, ooh, I want to boot into Microsoft Flight Simulator, let's say. And then the entire thing is filled with my Steam games listed out in like order of when I last booted them, which isn't even accurate half the time. I'm like, no, I launched the Xbox app to launch an Xbox app, not a Steam app. I don't care. Like, it drives me crazy. I don't know if there's a way to disable it, but if I can, I will. It drives me up the wall. I understand why they're doing it because they want you to do everything through the Xbox app so that it's just one giga platform you have everything on. But I'm sorry, you're not as good as Steam. You just aren't. Maybe one day you will be, but right now you're not. So it drives me crazy. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. You can disable it. Thank you, RPG Veteran. I'll look up how to do that, because I booted it up and it pissed me off so bad. I'm not even joking. I think it was my brother asked me if I wanted to do a round of Overwatch. So I was like, yeah. I booted up the Xbox app. I was like, what is this shit? And I was like scrolling and I couldn't find Overwatch. So I closed the actual Xbox app. I went into the search bar, typed in Overwatch, and launched it directly. I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, it drove me crazy. So anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts. I hate it. I really, really hate it. It's terrible. Anyway, thank you for the 10. Very generous. I'll catch up on other super chats and everything in just a second, guys. I try to get through the the whole thing before circling back, but thank you. So all of this to say, Unreal Engine and also Konami things specifically have previously had animation hitching weirdness. And in this video from almost exactly a year ago, October 12th, 2024, he was already outlining this problem and was describing it in Silent Hill 2 Remake. And he's finding that it's a problem in the documentation for Epic, or for Unreal Engine from Epic directly. And they're even having these issues and describing them as well, which is crazy. It's crazy. Viking King, not Viking King, it's V King, Darkers. Thank you for the sub, and NTS Empty also, thank you for the sub.
My example on the Ryzen 7 7800 XVD, the frame times as measured when unlocked are not exceeding 33.3 milliseconds. They are not exceeding a 30 FPS cap, yet I'm still seeing the animations looking really poor with a 30 FPS cap. So something is especially wrong here, just like something is especially wrong in Jedi Survivor. So I decided to do another test, but this time making it so the game doesn't use delta time anymore. So the game does not expect variable frame rates. I set it to a fixed tick at 30 FPS using this launch parameter that I was made aware of by Tom Lumen and Peter Svetikov. This parameter makes it so that the game is always stepping its time by a 33.3 millisecond interval. The issue of using a fixed tick like this is that if the frame rate is above or below 30, well, then the game speed changes, which can look hilarious, of course, as we're seeing right here, running far above 30 FPS. To avoid that, I locked the game externally to 30 FPS, and the game speed is then normal again when I do that. And guess what? When I run down that hill in the intro of the game, there is zero animation weirdness, no animation stutters. It looks completely smooth. In a side-by-side, it is painfully obvious how bad the default game is. On the left, using delta time and a 30 FPS cap, the animations are just not smooth. On the right, with a fixed tick and a 30 FPS cap, the animation is smooth as butter, or at least as smooth as 30 FPS can be. The animation stutter on the left is so obvious in comparison to me that it actually distracts me and my ability to concentrate on the right-hand side of the footage here. It is really that bad, and this is what is happening in Silent Hill 2 alongside frame time stutters, just like in Jedi Survivor. And
so it's an Unreal Engine problem. All of that to say, it's an Unreal Engine problem. So maybe that's the same thing that's going on here with Silent Hill. It's also a weirdness with how it's handling delta time. I don't know. But also another issue with Unreal. Like, the thing with Unreal is it's a very powerful engine. It's important not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, there's performance issues, but it is a very powerful piece of hardware or software, and it is capable of putting together some amazing games with comparatively low effort compared to having like your own engine that you run in house, which is why everybody's switching to it, because it makes sense monetarily. It helps with talent because you can have somebody that you just hired right out of school and they've already been trained on Unreal Engine, so you don't have to teach them how to use your tools. There's a lot of advantages to it, but it is far from perfect. And there are major issues like this that have been known and discussed for a long time. And, they got to address them. They got to fix it. Like, come on.
The developers have elected to take a familiar approach here.
Elden Ring wasn't on UE5. Yeah, it's also frame limited. That's my frustration with From Software stuff. It's all frame limited to 60, except for Armored Core 6. That can go to 120 frames a second. But even on like the highest of the high-end PCs, you can't play Elden Ring above 60. You can mod it to tweak it and make it happen, but it causes issues with the AI if you unlock the frame rate and go above 60. There's all sorts of problems with it. It's really weird.
Consolidating their mode offerings into a single enhanced mode with PSSR targeting 60 FPS. PSSR unfortunately does not work well at all with this title, producing an artifact-ridden image. Expect to see a constant peppering of coarse noise, with pulsing, strobing artifacts in areas, with occluders.
I prefer throbbing. With pulsing, throbbing noise. Dude, they need to hire me just to go through their scripts again, but add a lot of like sexual tension into the dialogue. I think that would help. That would help a lot. It's like, yeah, I find this image very pleasurable, but this image from the PSSR version and from the PS5 Pro leaves me throbbing and pulsating, heaving,
noise, with
viscous.
Pulsing, strobing artifacts in areas,
throbbing,
with occluders like grass or debris.
Ugh.
PSSR doesn't.
Gross! Icky! It looks bad! Oh my god. Oh my god, yeah, that looks stupid. That's bad.
Seem to like ray tracing effects, which require amortization and cleanup over many frames. And here I think we're finding some unfortunate interactions with Lumen GI here. I don't have a firm confirmation that the game is using PSSR and PS5 Pro, but these blemishes strongly suggest the technique. Internal resolutions come in a bit above 1080p here typically. Finding good pixel counts is tough in Silent Hill F because motion blur cannot be turned off on either PS5 system, so it's only possible to get a rough read on the game's internal counts in select shots. It's hard to guess at the output res, but PS5 Pro looks closer to the PS5 quality mode if I pull out still frames. The settings here otherwise seem similar to the PS5 modes, and when these modes have meaningfully different settings, it seems to shade closer to the PS5 performance mode. I don't have any problem if developers want to simplify their mode offerings for PS5 Pro users, and I don't have an issue necessarily with using PSSR. But if developers are going to make large changes for PS5 Pro users, they should ensure those changes produce an improvement over PS5. I'd rather have no Pro enhancement here, or ideally have a version of the game with boosted resolution figures while retaining TSR.
Yeah, like it literally looks worse. Because he's saying that the resolutions are pretty much comparable. This one just uses PSSR and tries to crank it up to a higher resolution. Because he said the PS5 quality mode is basically 1440 by his guesstimations, comparing it to the PC version. But like the PS5 Pro version literally looks worse. It's got the flickering, throbbing, pulsating undulations. Is that a word? I feel like that's a word. I've heard that somewhere. And it feels appropriate. You know, when you're like, I don't know what a word means, but it feels like that word fits here. That's where I feel like with undulations. I'm scared to Google it though, being honest. But like, it is crazy that like it just looks worse. Like the more expensive version of the game, you're playing it on a $750 console and it looks worse than the $550 console. You know, it's just wild, man.
Frame rates on PS5 Pro prove similar to the base PS5 performance mode. Expect a locked 60 FPS update absent momentary hitches that stem from traversal hiccups. As a general rule, expect that interiors will mostly be fine and that wobbles will be more noticeable when running through the town area in later chapters.
That's the really frustrating thing about the UE5 stutter thing, is that it affects the most high-end hardware just as bad as the low-end hardware. Like there is no escape. You know, some optimization issues you can just brute force your way through and you can manage it just fine. Like, yeah, it doesn't run great, but if I have enough firepower and enough or horsepower, I can get it working well enough to enjoy. But with stuttering, like these are engine issues with how it's like pre-compiling shaders as you enter areas and how it's kind of getting all of its ducks in a row before you move into the next zone of the map. And there is no getting around it. Whether you have a PS5 Pro or a 5090, like you're all going to experience it the exact same way. It's just, there is no escape. It's very frustrating. Silent Hill QA be like, that's enough. Well, to a certain extent, like the animation hitch, that very well could be like an Unreal Engine issue. From what we saw with Silent Hill 2, it could be another issue with that, where it literally is beyond their control. And by the time they realize that that's a problem, there's not much they can do. It's interesting that he said it's specifically tied to the quality mode, not the performance mode, which is strange. And that gives me hope that they can fix it. But yeah, when you have animations starting to break down based on the frame rate you're targeting, like, what are we doing? And then the PS5 Pro pisser variation of the game has like the crazy flickering, throbbing, pulsating, undulating protuberance, and it's just really bizarre. You know, it's a lot of other stuff they've done in the game is really impressive. Clearly it runs at a stable 60 until it doesn't, but they tried to build it around 60 frames. But again, it's just, it's frustrating that we are kind of being asked as consumers to just kind of hand wave it away, or to just go, it's good enough. Like, I can deal with it. When it's like, you're literally buying a product. You know, I just had this debate with somebody the other day. Not even a debate. We were talking. Not everything's a debate, Luke. But I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, because I find it really frustrating. As you guys know, I'm involved in like local theaters and stuff. Used to do a lot of plays and musicals and everything. And I've been kind of out of the game since COVID, because I had to find a big boy job and all of that. But so I got a made up job. But I was talking to somebody, because they were like, it's really important to support local theater and to support the arts and stuff. And I was like, I've always found that weird when people say that. It's not about necessarily just supporting, because supporting sounds like charity. You know, you're not here to support the game or support Konami or support Silent Hill. They're selling you a product. Same with the theater that's putting on the musical or the play. They're selling you something. I understand the desire to be able to just do whatever you want and make whatever you want. But at the end of the day, let's deal with reality. It's a product. They're selling you, okay? As much as you are personally, like, emotionally attached to Silent Hill or Konami or whatever, your duty is not to support, because it's not a charity. Like, they're selling you a product, and they might use the verbiage and shift it around. But like, you remember that there was a whole scandal, because I heard my mom talk about it, because my mom really likes Pixar movies. And they had a new movie called Elio, and Elio flopped cataclysmically. And it's because, like, look at this. This was on the official Pixar page, okay? The official Pixar, like, Instagram page. And this is what they said, okay?
Check it out.
Stop complaining that Disney doesn't make original stories if you don't show up to movie theaters and support them in the first place. Who said that? Oh my gosh. I thought I was the only one in my car. But anyways, there's a new original story. Look at that. From Disney Pixar called Elio. You should go ahead and support it. It comes out this Friday. So yeah, you should go to movie theaters. Thank you.
Post it.
Like, trying to badmouth you and bash you for not supporting original storytelling. So it's your fault if it flops. And then, yeah, you shouldn't ask for that ever again. It's like, no, it's not about supporting. You're selling me a product. If the movie is stupid, if the movie's bad, or I'm not interested in the movie, that's not my fault. That's your fault. Like, you're selling me a product. You're trying to get me to buy a ticket to your movie. Like, how dare you badmouth me or like say that it's my fault when you failed to do something that interested me or compelled me. And in the case of some of these games, it's like, we shouldn't have to settle and just be like, it's good enough. I'll support this game. You shouldn't feel the need to support. Support is a word for charity. And we're talking about multi-billion-dollar corporations. Okay? Like, they are not your friends. They're doing fine. They'll be okay. But if something runs poorly to the point where you find it upsetting or frustrating, you shouldn't just think of it as like, I'll support it. Demand that they fix it, and they'll fix it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Now, for a lot of people, I think if you're playing on base PS5 and everything, this performance, from what I'm seeing, is perfectly fine. I mean, the difference between performance and quality modes being barely noticeable. I would just play it on performance mode on the PS5. And I mean, yeah, there's occasional like 1 or 2 frame stutter, when you're going from different zones in the open world, in the larger areas of the map rather. That is far from like game breaking. I think that's totally manageable. And for a lot of people, they would not know it's there unless they had watched this video. Like, just honestly, this flickering is more of an issue for me. That might make me swap to quality mode for this sequence, but you know, these are not major issues. Because as with all things, there's gradations of offenses, right? There's things that are barely noticeable, not really a big deal. There's other things that are major deals that are much more distracting and problematic. But I think for a lot of people, this is going to be perfectly fine, and they probably would not notice most of these things unless they watched a video like this. But not just for this game, for every other game that's been having performance issues or that's been having issues just in general, whether it be bugs or port issues or whatever, optimization issues, don't just settle for good enough, you know, don't just settle for that. Don't settle at all. Like, they're selling you a product, okay? If I'm going to buy a car and it's like, no, it gets really good gas mileage most of the time, but like once every week it plummets to like a mile a gallon. But other than that, it works great. And then it's back to normal. Like, it's okay if you're like, I'm going to look at a different model of car. That's okay, because you're buying a product. So if it's not what you're looking for, at least not right now until they fix it, just take a breather. It's fine. It's totally fine. But going back to what this all started with, which was this post, as we heard, the resolutions that Digital Foundry was testing did not approach anywhere near 360p. And they're saying 720p to 360p, going up to 1800p. Literally none of that is in line with what Digital Foundry has said. And Digital Foundry's not perfect. They're not immune to mistakes, but they do have a much more, I think, impressive track record and a track record of accuracy compared to a channel nobody can really say the name of that is reportedly doing these side-by-side comparisons. So I'm much more inclined to believe Digital Foundry than these posts that are going around Reddit and X right now. So it seems like the 4K variation in the quality mode is probably upscaling. Like he said, it's hitting somewhere around 1440p. It might be hitting 1080p starting resolution, upscaling to 1440p, or maybe he meant 1440 going up to 4K. Who can say until we get specific pixel counting and stuff. Maybe with some console tools to disable motion blur or something, we could do that. But the point is, it's nowhere near as bad as this picture makes it look. And that's the big takeaway, I think. That's the big takeaway. So don't believe everything you say. Shout out to Carson with FNAF News for calling this out and letting people know that it's not accurate. Because based on what Digital Foundry is saying, it is not accurate. And I'm more inclined to believe Digital Foundry than these random pictures and stuff. So I appreciate it. As for everything else, Silent Hill F is looking really, really good. I'm excited to give it a shot. It launches on the 25th, I believe. And I'm not sure if they have a separate early access before this, but we'll see. And I'm excited to give it a shot. It seems very, very interesting. I probably won't be playing it on the PS5 Pro. I'll probably be looking for a PC version of the game. But other than that, hopefully they can fix it up. They do have early access on the 23rd. Hell yeah. So tomorrow. Maybe it unlocks later tonight. I'm not sure. But whoop whoop. Anyway. Oh yeah, PC. I did see that. Do I have that? Do I have it saved? I guess I didn't. Sony. Come on. Yeah, they posted this video and it looks like it's just a video of like it's shot well.
Somewhere. Raw ideas.
But they got Neil sitting in the studio. I believe this is the actual like review room at Naughty Dog, because I remember it from some of the documentaries. I think back with like Grounded 2. I think this is the actual space in Naughty Dog. They've done some stuff. Like I don't think the projector actually shines that low. I think they probably added this in. The PS5 Pro that they casually put right there front and center. That's not normally there, but I think this is the actual space at Naughty Dog. You can also tell because they have this little thing on the screen which is also from dev kits. So you can see what inputs are being put into the game when you're playing it. So it's not running on like a standard PS5 Pro. It's running on like an actual dev kit of it. But they do these cool little transitions and stuff. And then they swap over to some other people that were involved with the game, a fictional character designer, dramatization, not real Naughty Dog developers. Pictured. They go forward, and then they eventually do show Gustavo Santaolayev playing some music, and then they show, of course, Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie, all this stuff. Haley Gross, who was like co-writer and kind of Neil's right-hand woman, and then transition to this with the rest of the studio. Create infinite realities. I'm guessing it's just a commercial. I'm guessing they say watch more. This is like a whole playlist of different things they've posted, all within a few hours. Behind the scenes, she revisits Ellie for 3 minutes. Like a bunch of little things.
A lot of our projects start with a narrative idea. And, you know, with The Last of Us, it was, how do we, through this interactive experience, get the players to feel the unconditional love a parent feels for their child? And once you have that vision, then the team can latch onto that. But how we get there, we can go on these interesting detours. Our first ideas are never our best. And a lot of the technology that we have now, the tools that we have, allow us to construct gameplay ideas much, much, much faster. And all of a sudden, it just feels fresher, more original.
Which is also kind of funny because I feel like most people have not seen that. Like because I've heard a lot of devs say this. They like, our tools allow us to iterate much faster and more efficiently. Meanwhile, it's taken them 6 years to put games out. You know, it's just funny. Check out his watch.
Gustavo, he's a bit untraditional.
I can try to find it.
To write
I don't recognize it off
ideas
the
instead of
bat.
writing it to picture. Before we had the game built, we had a pitch, and just off of that, he created an hour's worth of music. And then I could listen to that stuff as I'm thinking about the game, and then we write as we go. And the reason we do that is because the interactive part of it is a lot more experimental, a lot more theoretical. There's one example I can think of, you know, when Ellie is maybe at her lowest point, and she's separated from Joel, and she's traumatized. And Joel reconnects with her. And it's one of their most intimate conversations. And then we had the music over it, and the music took it to this other level. And it was able to communicate more clearly what the emotions of these scenes were about, or this relationship between these two characters, that I made the call to take the dialogue out. So then at that moment, you see their mouths moving, you can't hear what they're saying because it was less important than the music. And the music just took over.
I do like that moment in the first game. Where the dialogue just kind of trails off.
I started as Naughty Dog as an intern. Now I'm the studio head. And on that journey, I've learned, you know, it's more about how do I bring people together? How do I clear obstacles out of their way so the team can do their best work? I'm much more of a facilitator now. Pretty early on when we were shooting stuff with Ashley Johnson, Ellie was more innocent, less capable. And one of the first things we shot is when Joel and Ellie enter Pittsburgh and they crash into this convenience store. And this hunter, this raider, pulls Ellie out of the truck. And Ashley Johnson, while we're shooting that scene, pulls me aside and she's like, I feel like I would fight back more. I would do more in this scene. And I said, then go for it. And she became a lot more capable from that moment on. This idea of creating infinite realities is very relevant to PlayStation. They really give us a lot of creative freedom to do often things that other publishers will not. It's like this gameplay, technology, art, story, they're all feeding and working with each other, and our job is to make sure they're all working in concert.
Last of Us Part 3 confirmed. I was hoping there'd be a little bit more. I wonder if Sony's doing this just as like a new marketing campaign. Like they're cool little behind the scenes things. It just I'm just a little surprised that they're putting all this time and money into it. I'm wondering where the connection is. Like what's the thing? Like why are they why? You know, a remake incoming? Maybe. I don't know, maybe I'm just so like cynical in terms of corporations where I'm like, if they're not going to make money with these little things they're filming, why are they doing it? So I'm like, what's the catch? What's the hook? Are they going to announce that they're doing another documentary, or that could be cool? Are they going to announce, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it would be, but I'm always just like braced for something like that, you know? WTF, this dude trying to sell us TVs. You're damn right, Krieg Zeus. You better believe it. Thank you for the 2. Hannah, appreciate the constant gaming news. Glad to have you here while I ramble about stuff. Elijah, thank you for the 5. Luke, do you think the best games of this year came out in the first half? Feels like holiday season is a lot of 7 to 8 out of 10s minus Silksong. Yeah, it is kind of a front-loaded year, but I think that's fine. I mean, for me, I guess it's just different for everybody, but for me personally, like my front runners are KCD 2 and Expedition 33. Shocker, you know, not shocking to anybody, but for me, those are my 2 front runners, and those were both games. You know, KCD 2 was February, and then was Expedition May or March? I want to say May. I think it was May. So both first half of the year, for sure. Yeah. Let me see. Okay, I read those. I read that one. Not an FBI agent. Thank you for the 5. PC Master Race once again beats consoles. Well, I mean, I think a lot of this is just pushing people into it. I haven't confirmed it. Actually, let me look it up. Let's test it ourselves. I saw a post. New mini segment. I saw a post, people saying that Costco had completely removed Xboxes from sale. And it looks like they actually have. Don't worry, I'm not doxing myself. There's just only one Costco in northern Colorado, so that's just what it defaults to. Timnath, nice place. A lot of rich people live in Timnath, I'll tell you what. So Xbox, when you search Xbox on Costco.com, it doesn't show up. Does it show up if I search PS5? Does PS5 show up? Yes. So after they raised the price of the Xbox by like $200, they've removed the Xbox from sale. They're not even going to bother trying. And this is also kind of funny because, you know, they did just announce this. This was clipped by Oliver on X, Oliver Darko. Xbox price increased in US for the second time this year. 2 terabyte model, now $800, which is funny because not that long ago, Xbox boss Phil Spencer digs at PS5 Pro saying, we're not growing the market with $1,000 consoles. This was November. Oh, come on, man. Come on. What are we doing? I mean, it looks like even places like Costco, again, we'll do it live. Xbox. They literally are not selling games, controllers, or consoles, but they'll sell the PlayStation. Are they selling Switch 2? Switch 2. Yep. But they're not touching the Xbox because they don't want to stock them because they probably don't think they'll move them. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. They're even selling games and accessories and wireless rechargeable LED integrated wall sconces. But they're not touching the Xbox. That's wild, dude. That's crazy. I did not see that coming. I saw the posts on X, but I thought maybe people were just making it up. But no, it's real. It's literally not for sale anymore. It's crazy. But that's also one thing where I've paused and I've been like, are they not selling it? Because like, or did they raise the price rather? Because maybe they think that like the people who are going to buy the Xbox will buy it anyways at any price. So why bother worrying about price? Just raise it and we'll just prep for GTA 6 that way. Or are they raising it to justify jumping to 1,000 for the next console? They're like, we're not really selling any now. We'll just raise it to 800. So when we go to 1,000 or 900 for the next Xbox console, it's less jarring. Maybe that's what they're doing. Or are they raising the price so that sales crater so they can justify not making a console next generation? And they can be like, look, guys, it didn't sell at all for the last 2 years. I don't know. It is weird though, like, because it's just such a jarring price increase, kind of out of nowhere. But that's what they do. That's what they do. It's just ridiculous, man. Not an FBI. Also with another 5. It's a shame The Last of Us 2 is about as good as a TV show, but brave to get a human thumb to play Ellie. That's not very nice. Not an FBI. That was mean. And don't you know Ellie's going to be a dad? Stop. Stop, guys. Stop. I will confess, I've also said kind of harsh things. People are like, Luke, why are you wearing that t-shirt making fun of Bella Ramsey as Ellie? You know, Bella's just working day and night for that show. Why are you making fun of Bella like that? Like, if anybody is a world famous actor or actress, is worth millions upon millions of dollars, has been in like major marketing campaigns for Apple, I feel like I can wear a t-shirt kind of poking fun at them, and that's fair game. Like, if you have that thin of skin, what are we doing? Like, I don't respect you that much. And I think Bella would be chill with it, wouldn't even throw that big of a fit over it. What's really cringy is not the silly t-shirt, because they're not silly. They're actually quite beautiful, stunning, brave, and beautiful. Hold on. I keep my Bella Ramsey shirts in the corner. This shirt is fantastic, okay? I'm not going to apologize for it. And that's that. And honestly, if I ever become a multimillionaire who's on HBO with multiple productions, you guys can make fun of me and say that I look like a potato. That's fine. Because I'll be super rich and famous and I won't care. You know, what's really cringe is not the shirt. It's being offended on somebody else's behalf who you've never met and who doesn't give a crap about you. That's cringe. You know, that's cringe. We already do. Banned, Jimothy. Banned. Got you. You fell right into my trap. You fell right into my trap. You would. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Okay, let's talk about this. No, skibbity doo dah. Okay, so The Elder Scrolls 6 may finally have a target release date. A leaker claims. Reported on by Insider Gaming. Initially, though, it came from a video from Ecstasis, timestamped video below, who claimed that the studio is targeting late 2027 for a release date. What did they say specifically?
Let's get down to business, guys, because we have new...
This sounds weird because it's not in English. It has been translated using YouTube's new like auto dictate transcribe thing. That's why it sounds weird, okay?
Evidence and information about The Elder Scrolls 6 and its possible release. Pay attention, around 2027, late 2027. You'll probably be blown away right now, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on, because first of all, BTSD Game Studios has made a choice, which is what fans needed to get excited about The Elder Scrolls 6.
So the whole video is going through a bunch of other stuff, but he's claiming that they're targeting a late 2027 release date, potentially slipping into 2028. Now, I have strong thoughts on this, okay? I've had strong thoughts on this. And it's mainly because, for one, in order to be a prediction, your claim needs to be testable and novel, right? You can't just say the sun's going to rise tomorrow, and when it does, claim that you're a prophet. It's got to be novel.
I'm going to explain it to you a little.
Shut up. Why did it start by itself again? That was so weird. It has to be novel and testable, okay? So it has to be something like very specific. That's the other piece. Novel, testable, specific. In this case, his claim of it being late 2027 is not really novel. It's just not. Okay, he's saying late 2027, which is precisely where everybody else and their grandmother has guesstimated that it's going to land. Late 27, going into 28, right on the cusp of the next generation of consoles. That would put it anywhere from 4 to 5 years after Starfield, which is precisely about the development time period that Bethesda has been taking. Candle, Luke? Yes. Sorry. I am so sorry. I forgot to light you. So at the outset, the claim isn't very novel, okay? It is sort of specific. He's saying that they're targeting a release date, but even that, how do we test this? How do we test this specific claim? Well, if it comes out in late 2027, we can say, oh, he was right. If it comes out early 2028, he can say, oh, I was right. If it slips into late 2028, he can go, oh, I was also kind of right because I said it could slip into 2028. I never said early 2028. I just said late 27, early 28, or late 27, slipping into 28. So no matter what, barring some insane delay of like a year or two, he can't be wrong, which is not typically impressive to me. If your claim is not very specific, if it's not novel, it is testable based on when the game comes out, but because it fails the other two tests, it just doesn't really work for me. The other piece is I did look this up, and of course there's other examples. For example, Starfield was initially revealed to be targeting a 2022 release date, and this was back at E3 2021. They said that they were looking to release in 2022. It would end up getting delayed by a year. Later on, Phil Spencer was doing an interview and kind of let something slip he probably wasn't supposed to. And he said that Starfield originally had a much earlier release date before Xbox told Bethesda to take their time. And the insinuation at this time was that they had a much earlier release date than the November 2022 date, which would suggest maybe early 2022 or maybe even 2021. A full 2 years before its eventual launch was their original plan. So the point of that is Bethesda stuff gets delayed constantly. Even if they're targeting internally late 2027, by their own metrics and timelines based on the last game they put out, they ended up delaying it by like basically 2 years, potentially, a year and a half, 2 years. So all of this is just kind of stupid. I also looked up the claims made by this individual. And this individual, hold on. It's one of the, where'd it go? This guy has been, it brought up in numerous other conversations about leaks and things. So for example, he did get some stuff right, specifically tied to Xbox Game Pass claims. He correctly leaked that Modern Warfare 3 was coming to Game Pass in July of 24. That's not really shocking. It's kind of what everybody was saying, but okay. He predicted that Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy would be joining Game Pass, Forza Horizon 5's PlayStation 5 release. He predicted that, which people found impressive as well. It also was not that novel a claim. A lot of people were saying that at the time, but okay. Community feedback tends to say that he has a, quote, pretty good track record. For example, this guy, Truth, one of his defenders, has said, you realize every past leak this dude has posted has been real. Go back through the dude's tweets. Everything he posted came true and came out hours, days, or even months after they were released or announced. The crap gamer said, yeah, Ecstasis, who has a pretty good track record, said the claim in question. But he's also gotten some stuff inaccurate. For example, he claimed that Codemasters would close in May of 2025, which did not happen. He said that he was like 95% sure of, for example, this. He claimed that he was 95% sure on knowing the fourth game being announced at the Xbox Direct, saying he mentioned it in his last video. And some of these were also, like, he mentioned Persona 6, and then later he confirmed that it wasn't it. So it starts to sound like he's throwing stuff at the wall a little bit. And then when it doesn't follow and it's not confirmed, he backs out of it pretty quickly. Jez Corden also who has had his own sources and has gotten some stuff right and some stuff wrong, but also works for Windows Central. He said, Ecstasis, quote unquote, borrowed this information. Specifically, this was a claim that Xbox is currently developing 3 new controller prototypes. He borrowed this information from the latest Xbox 2 podcast without sourcing, much like most of his other leaks, which is also something we've seen other people do, where like they will go onto Insider Gaming, find an article on, say, Skull and Bones, and be like, oh, this article suggests that Ubisoft is going to use assets from that on Black Flag Remake. So I'm going to make a leak about Black Flag Remake, and I'm going to mention that they're going to reuse assets from Skull and Bones. And then when people are looking at it, they'll connect the dots, be like, oh, they're corroborating each other. When they're not actually corroborating each other, working in tandem, they're actually one's a derivative of the other, right? So all of this to say, I'm sorry to waste your time. But looking at this, I find, for one, the claim to be utterly unremarkable. He's saying that it's coming out late 27 is their current targeted release window. Which, what are we supposed to do with that information? There's literally nothing. Like, literally nothing. Okay, they're targeting that. If it gets delayed, he can still claim he was right. Oh, we were initially targeting that timeline. Okay, cool. Of course, he doesn't provide any internal evidence to support his claim. He does say that the information he's collected would lead him to logically believe that the game will launch by then, which, whatever that means, that makes me think that he didn't even have somebody tell him it's launching in late 27. He's just literally like, yeah, they're hoping to get out a few games by the end of the decade, which is what everybody has said. And he's inferring from that this leak. So I find that kind of stupid. And then other things, like, it's just, it's frustrating to me because, again, any type of prediction, whether it's leakers or even like a religious prophet or cult leader, it should meet those standards and pass that test. It should be novel, testable, and specific. And if it's not any of those, or if it fails even 1 or 2 of those, it's not really a prediction. And in this case, it fails at least 2 out of the 3. It is technically testable because we can see when it launches, when it launched, and compare it. But by that point, all of this will be forgotten. Nobody will be talking about this leak. So he will have benefited from the initial wave of attention. And everything will be forgotten by then. And even at that point, if it launches in 2029, he can still say he was right because their internal target date was actually late 2027 and it just got delayed. So no matter what, he can claim that he was right. So I know one of you guys messaged me this article. I'm happy to talk about it, but unfortunately there's not much to say. It's just, I think it's stupid. Okay. That's my take. I think that this is stupid. Even if it's accurate, there's nothing to do with it. And there's plenty of reason to not think that this is like totally accurate. But anyway. Let's see. They use a new engine for, no. They're not using no new engine. Are you crazy? Are you mad? Are you outside of your mind, son? How dare you? No, they're not using a new engine. No, they're not. New Arc Raiders trailer, you said? We can look at that real quick. 4 hours ago, pre-order trailer. Arc Raiders, what we got? Not actual gameplay. It's in engine, though.
That's it?
Yep, Apollo pays top coin for these.
What? Why?
I think it's for the kids, you know.
Fine.
Oh, it has copyrighted music? Thank you for the warning. Otherwise, we'll end up with another Conan O'Brien situation. Dude, I appreciate so many of you guys watch the VODs and stuff. I feel really bad that we watched that Conan clip because I've had so many people ask me, Luke, where's the stream from whatever that day is or was? And I just had to be like, I was stupid and I watched a Conan O'Brien clip. And so then the whole thing got copyright struck. We tried to clip the entire stream, like cut it all up. so people could still see the content from the stream. But I've had so many people ask me what happened to that stream. I feel bad. It's like, no, there's not a fun answer. It's just I was stupid and thought I could watch a clueless gamer clip. Because it was the one where they were trying Borderlands 4 and Conan's actually playing it in the video and it crashes and they kept it in the game. And the pop-up specifically said, your game or your version of Borderlands 4 has crashed multiple times recently. So even like the playable build that they were trying had crashed multiple times. And it was just so funny. But I tried to watch it on stream and they did not like that. Oops. Flem Nasty, thank you for the 20. Hey Luke, I know you play D&D and so do I, but I'm about to start DMing for the first time. We're playing Cyberpunk Red. Have you tried it? What's your take on the game? Also, if you've ever DM'd, any tips or advice for me? I have DM'd. I've not tried Cyberpunk Red, so I don't have a lot of specifics on that. I'm interested in it, but I've never personally played it. As for my advice for a brand new DM, I mean, I would primarily say number one, everybody says it, but do a session 0 where you work on building out each other's characters with each other in tandem so that everybody is kind of on the same page of how you're going to work together. I made a mistake of letting my party kind of design their own characters themselves. And then when we came together, they were surprised that, like they didn't have any intelligence based characters at all. So all those checks, all those challenges, they just were terrible at. So make sure you have a party that can build themselves and be compatible. Beyond that, what I would say is do not give stuff out. Don't be super generous early in the game. That's a trap people can land in where they start to think, oh, I'll just give my players a lot of stuff to keep them having fun. Don't give them a ton of valuable stuff early on. It can totally ruin the balance of the game by the end of it. It just will destroy it. Make it really, really special when they get a magical item. Because I ran into a problem where one of my players had basically access to a magical item, and then he went and basically convinced all the other players to give him the magical items that they had gotten. So he basically became super, super, super broken. And when you have one broken player who's super OP, you have to balance combat so they don't just one-shot the enemy, right? Or the boss fight. And so then you make it more difficult, but that means that the boss can now one-shot all the underpowered players while the one player is super overpowered. So you just have to like work very carefully on managing balance and everything. But yeah, it's also dependent on player styles and stuff. So not all players will be, super try hard like that with the combat, but just be careful with it. Just be cautious. Slow and steady tends to win the race though. That's the big thing. The temptation for a new DM is I want my players to have fun. So after every combat encounter, I'm going to give them a special piece of loot, or I'm going to give them some big thing here or there. And that just doesn't work. That just doesn't work. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to be very methodical with it. Ooh. Breaking news. Breaking news. Thank you, Flem Nasty, for the 20, by the way. That was very generous. And Alexander, the okay. Thank you for that 5. Huntrix don't miss. Bum-ba-dum, bum-bum. I don't remember the words, but yeah, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. Thank you for that. Nah, man, that guy's a synth. I don't remember what we were talking about. Not an FBI. I'm sorry. Oh, the video with the AI voice. Yeah, maybe. And then Rust MDG, thank you for the membership as well. Thank you. And Killa King Max, thank you also for the sub over on Twitch. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Okay. News segment, breaking news. Stunning, brave, and beautiful news. Continuing on the tradition of actors and actresses getting themselves in trouble, an actress who performed in a very hotly discussed game just a matter of weeks or months ago. It's kind of a blur. Weeks ago, I guess. She made maybe an oopsie. Maybe it was intentional. Maybe it's part of a marketing scheme. But it seems to be an oopsie. The actress who plays Isabella in Mafia: The Old Country just recently claimed that another game in the series had been greenlit, developed by Hangar 13 and published by 2K. Apparently, Mafia: The Old Country has seemingly been successful enough for 2K to commission a sequel. What happened? Well, in a guest appearance on Twitch live stream with Bubbly Nuggets, what a name, actress Karina Conti, I'm not sure, I'm sorry, who played Isabella Teresi in Mafia the Old Country, claimed that a sequel for the game has already been greenlit. In the live stream, the actress also discussed how most Mafia games tend to be standalone, but intertwine in various ways in the same universe. It's not clear, however, if the new game will be a direct sequel or if it will be a standalone story with new characters. Let's see the clip. Oh, they didn't timestamp it? God damn it.
No, not all the way. Also, speaking of horses, question for Karina. Were the horses mocapped?
So I didn't come into contact with any
No way.
horses.
Did they really not timestamp it? There's no way they didn't timestamp it. That's insane, guys. Did they really not timestamp it? Son of a bitch. Okay, real quick. Does anybody know if there's a way to look up a transcript of a Twitch stream? Is that a thing? Maybe somebody clipped it. I can't believe they didn't clip it for us. That's ridiculous, dude. That's ridiculous. 3 days ago, all videos, 3 hours. There's no way, dude. That's crazy. I don't know. Is that criteria originate from somewhere? Asks Zach. Oh, for predictions? No, I've heard lots of people discuss it. I heard it initially in the context of religious claims. It was like a debate over whether the Old Testament has predictions or prophecy in it, and it was a debate. I don't remember who it was between, but it was a debate where basically they were trying to argue whether or not the prophecies in the Old Testament were prophecies and whether they were fulfilled in the New Testament of the Bible. Very interesting debate. But that's where I initially heard the breakdown that I thought was very accurate, very profound. Let me Google real quick. Hold on. Twitch transcript generator, maybe? Twitch. Is this it? Okay, timestamp. Because if I can find that, I can.
It's a Game and Boy Sheet.
Hold on, no, stop. If I can find that, then I can actually like search the transcript. Search. Not affiliated with Twitch TV. Oh, top Twitch TV VODs. Okay, so that one's not. 3 free transcripts a day. Maybe this one. Free mode, Uniscribe. Oh, come on, man. It's a 3-hour video. I don't know where in the video the clip is. Did they really not clip it? Did they not even bother to look it up? That's crazy, man. What are we doing? Okay. Well, I don't really know. I'm not really sure. I saw a clip of it on Twitter somewhere. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's try that then. Karina, let's find that. Boop, boop, boop. Let's try to find the clip. Searching. Okay, wait. Here it is. Oh yeah, I forgot, dude. It's Mafia the Old Country, I forgot. Okay, Mafia Game Videos did clip it, which is great, despite the fact that Mafia Game Videos blocked me. Which is funny. And it's because I called him out for some really stupid thing that he said right before launch. Like he was like freaking out over, was it not being able to swim in the game or something? There was some really, really stupid thing that was brought up. I don't know what it was. There was something I called him out for, and it really was not a big deal, but it was so stupid that I brought it up on stream and then he blocked me, which is funny. But either way, I appreciate him for, was it the 60 FPS thing? It was the performance. Okay. Whatever it was. See, I've already forgotten because it was such a non-issue, but he blocked me because of it, which is funny. Anyway, shout out to Mafia Game Videos for clipping this. I would retweet it, but I can't. See why blocking isn't helpful? Let's see what they said though. This is the clip.
So have 2K or Hangar 13 said there's going to be another game.
Okay, I won't look.
They were approved for another Mafia game. This is true.
What?
Yeah. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. I'm so happy for them.
Oh,
They
no.
deserve it, honestly.
I don't think you were supposed to say that. I think that was supposed to be secret. I think you just got in trouble. This is genuinely a difficult thing, okay? Because like, I'm sure when you're an actor, you go in there, you say something, you're talking to your friends, and she's been working on this game for, I'm sure, years. And so she's become friends with some of these people. And I'm sure like they text it, oh, did you get greenlit? Yeah, we got greenlit. Not realizing you do not say that. That is hush hush. If it's not been spoken publicly by like the PR people, you can't say that. So I think she legitimately made an oopsie. And there's always like, some companies are more lenient with it than others. Like you remember even the guy that played Edward Kenway, he was at that like convention and he didn't even say there's a Black Flag remake. He's told a guy that he didn't realize was filming him, which is already like, that's kind of sucks. You should let him know you're filming. But he told a fan, yeah, no, you should replay Black Flag. It's really good because there's probably going to be a reason to replay it soon. Being kind of coy and fun and silly. And then like, if it was so bad, like a couple weeks later, he was at a different convention and he was like, yeah, they threatened to sue me over it because I kind of coyly insinuated that there might be a Black Flag remake. And they threatened to sue me. It just sucks because like to the actor, they may just be having fun with a fan. They don't realize that, no, that can have like major implications. And, you know, to a certain extent, it's often just like a lawyer who's on retainer for Ubisoft or for 2K or somebody is just looking for something to spend their time doing. And so they will send you a cease and desist because they can bill the company for that. So they're just looking for something to do. And they're like, oh, I can send a cease and desist. Figured out what I'm doing today. You know, that's the whole thing. But yeah, I don't think she realized that this, I don't think she was supposed to say this.
So have 2K or Hangar 13 said there's going to be another game.
Okay, I won't look.
They were approved for another Mafia game. This is true.
What?
Yeah. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. I'm so happy.
I'm also happy for them. I'm very, very happy to hear that. I think they deserve it. They're very, very good at what they do. Even if I had problems with the ending, I'm very, very happy about it. And I would love to see another big budget Mafia executed properly with proper time and budgets and everything. It's also like, as from what I had heard, it was a success. They were happy with the performance financially of it. It had sold pretty well. They were pleased with how it did. Based on their budgets and everything that they had anticipated. And these games also tend to have a bit of a tail, so they tend to do pretty well. So I had heard that they were happy with it, and you can conclude from that, okay, so they're probably going to get to do another one. It doesn't take a genius to figure it out. But this just, I mean, she has friends at the studio, no doubt, who she did with motion capture stuff, like whatever it is. So I'm sure that she probably is telling the truth here, that she did hear that they got approved, which is awesome to hear. We need numbers. I don't think we do. I don't think we need, really, the obsession with like units sold recently, I think started because we've also gotten access to like Steam DB, and it gives us an idea of how games are performing, so we can kind of poke fun and tease when games do really poorly and flop, because it can be funny. And some games, honestly, like you see them flop like a Dustborn and you're like, yeah, it couldn't have happened to a nicer game. It was utterly dreadful. But I think it can also be like broadly unhealthy, where you end up with people not even talking about the game. They're talking about how many concurrent players it has on Steam. And it's like, yeah, we should probably be talking about the game, you know? We should be doing that instead, I would think. But anyway, so oops. Oops. Looks like we're getting another Mafia. I'm happy about it. I hope she doesn't get into too much trouble over that. But who knows? Maybe they'll make a post and just be like, yes, we're very happy to confirm that we're working on a new Mafia. Because it shouldn't be this like big bad thing that you have to keep secret. You know, it shouldn't be a big bad secret. We should be able to say, yeah, we're working on another Mafia. We'll share more when the time is right. That's all you need to say. It was never going to be like, oh yeah, they actually are working on a brand new IP about ducks that rob banks while paying off student loans from Duck College. Like, that actually sounds awesome. I would play the crap out of that game. But, you know, everybody knew that they were going to do another Mafia. Everybody knew. So it's not that big of a deal. I don't think so. So hopefully they don't give her too much trouble over it, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. The story wasn't good. I thought the story was good until the last, again, no spoilers. I should not be specific. I mean, I did a 2.5 hour critique of it. Most of it was rambling about the ending of that game. So, I won't go into specifics. You can watch that full critique if you want to hear my thoughts on it on the main channel. But I thought the story was very good and compelling and captivating and interesting and intriguing until the ending, which lost me and frankly kind of pissed me off. So, yeah. Oh yeah, we could call it What the Duck. I love it. That sounds great. We just figured it out. That's awesome. Oh man. So anyway. Oh wait, no, okay, should we, you know, I'm tempted to see these types of videos. 2021 finance video. Oh baby. No, I won't go into that. It's not worth it. Not worth the trouble. Okay. I think we got through that. We discussed that. Oh no, wait, this guy actually did it. Did you guys ever hear the story of the Geometry Dash dude that's been trying to beat the hardest level for like months or years? Actually, he finally did it. It requires like hundreds upon hundreds of frame perfect presses, like to actually get it. And he's been trying to get this record for 2 years. And apparently he just got it. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Honestly, fair reaction. Dude, his heart rate's going 178, 181. Dude, that's like really, really intense cardio. Like, that's like about to pass out. That's unreal. Caltrochentos? I'm not sure. Wow. Yeah, rip headphone users for real. But props to him, man. That's crazy. In this session, he tried it 49 times. 3,800 jumps. Is it really a 24-minute level? Dude, that's miserable. You have to do this for 24 minutes, most of which is frame perfect. That's crazy, man. He attempted it roughly 200,000 times before completing it. Dude, that thing must have possessed his nightmares. Oh my God. That's crazy. Well, good for him. What do you do after that? I don't know, man. Like, after I finished Red Dead Redemption 2, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, I'm good. But man, yeah, you know this is real. His heart rate's at 187 at the end of it. Look how his heart rate spikes. 160. Like, intense cardio is like, for most people in their 20s, you want to be in like the 160 something range. Like, that's crazy, dude. Trying to do something for 2 years, 200,000 attempts, and you finally get it. First person in the world. That's crazy. They knew it was possible because bots could do it, but no human had ever done it. That's wild, man. That's wild. Yeah, and he's like, let's go for it again. Let's do it again. Are you downloading the new season of The Witcher? I don't know, man. I might keep a tab on it, see what people think of it. But at this point, they've like lost me so hard on the writing changes and also the weird obsession with having a show called The Witcher that's not really about The Witcher. Drives me crazy, man. Like, it's The Witcher. Why is it the Frangilla Hour with like this obsession of every other character other than Geralt? It just drives me crazy. Like, I want to see Witcher stuff. I want to see him hunting stuff. Like, it just frustrates me. So maybe I'll watch it. But it's also one of those things where, like, at some point, if I don't care and if I'm not having a good time watching it, like, why am I watching it? You know, why do that to myself? Genuine question. Do you guys think it gets greenlit for another season after this? That one I genuinely don't know. Probably not. Like, I feel bad legitimately for Liam Hemsworth because he's just taken up the mantle and taken up the sword, and he's going to play Geralt as best he can. It's not his fault that the show was so mismanaged that they lost Henry. Like, that's not his fault, but he's just doing the best that he can. If I were him, I mean, I might not have taken the show. Maybe they gave him a fat payday or something, but he's fighting such an uphill battle on that. I can't even imagine. Can switch to Liam. It is a tough thing, like, to lose the star of your show and then just recast it and pretend like nothing happened. It's just tough. It's like, imagine if they did that in The Office. If they're like Michael Scott, you know, all of a sudden Steve Carell leaves and they're like, just get Will Ferrell. He'll just come in and he'll play Michael Scott and we'll just pretend like nothing happened. It's like, I don't think you can just do that. You know? Oh, didn't they film? I think you're right, actually, Kinomanska. I think you're right. They did film the last 2 seasons back to back, and they said that was going to be it. Oh, wait, no, it's all coming back. See, I blocked this out of my memory. Yes, I think you're right. It's all coming back. Man, it was so ass even with Henry Cavill. Now you want Witcher without him. Well, that's the problem. Even with him, it was starting to really fall off the tracks, and I thought he was perfect for Geralt. But I think he left because he saw where it was going. And then also the Superman stuff was going on at the same time. And so he's like, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I can get out of this project that I am really frustrated by. And I can start working on a project I'm really excited by. And I don't have to be the bad guy because I'm moving from Geralt to Superman. And then they screwed him over with Superman. And now I think he's executive producing the 40K thing. Is it a film or is it a TV show? I thought it was an Amazon Prime TV show. Maybe it's a movie, but I thought it was a TV show. I don't know. It's interesting. Poor Henry. It is a show. I was like, maybe it got turned into a movie, but I thought it was a show. Either way, I'm excited for it. I think it's not clear yet what it is. Okay. The writers on multiple occasions showed they weren't into the material. Well, it seems to be a Netflix issue, but it's also just an issue with adaptations generally nowadays for whatever reason. That they give all of these like massive production budgets for remakes and for adaptations to writers and production teams that seem to have active disdain for the material. You know, it's like, okay, maybe you're not like a devout Christian or Jew or whatever, and so you don't like the story of the Exodus. You don't like the story of the 10 plagues and Moses taking the Israelites out while killing all the firstborn Egyptians. Like, maybe you don't like that story. I can understand that. But I would not expect you to then get a massive check to produce a TV show based on that material, marketed towards people that like that material. You know, it just wouldn't make sense. It's like, yeah, so we got Christopher Hitchens to direct the live action adaptation of the Exodus story. You just be like, what? Like, I would find that interesting personally, but I can understand why maybe like the Bible Belt would not show up to that movie. You know, like it just wouldn't really make sense. It wouldn't make sense. Yeah, it's just, and with this, they're like, yeah, they said a couple of lines where they specifically were like alleging that The Witcher is like a very sexist piece of material, and that they were excited to be able to break it down and explore other ideas. And I was like, it's The Witcher. And you're saying that you have massive problems with The Witcher books, but you're adapting them for a TV show. Why are you adapting The Witcher books? Why didn't you pick something else then? What are we doing? What are we doing? If you don't like it, cool. But then why are you the one adapting it, you know? I don't know. Anyway. My favorite part of the Witcher debacle is the edited photo of all the writers holding up signs of why/how they ruined the show. Oh, really? I don't think I saw that, but that would be funny. Anyway, let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to get to, that we have time to get to? I don't think so, because I have to go give Romeo his bath. So I'll call it there. I'll just call it there. Thank you all for hanging out with me. This was wonderful. I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of every single one of you. Yeah, written by Richard Dawkins, directed by Hitchens, and produced by Sam Harris. The Bible. Yeah, you'd be like, why? Exactly. Honestly, that would be probably pretty entertaining, but we probably will never get it for obvious reasons. But anyway, much love, everybody. Thank you for being with me today. It's been a wonderful, wonderful time. I appreciate you. We'll be back on Wednesday with another show, rocking and rolling. Until then, my friends, much, much love. I will see you soon. Good night, Dad. Good night, boy. Good night. Much love. I'll see you soon. Mwah.